The whole time I was rooting for you, you had a love child.
Yeah, you had a love child, and it's like you were not only lying to your wife for years about stand users and what you do for a living, you were also lying about having another child. Like,
well, he didn't know he had a kid.
Okay, well, the lies ran deep.
Right.
Affair.
Right, an affair.
An affair. Yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we highlight and discuss new series each week. But today we are back again with more JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, aka Volume 1's Bizarre Adventure, which means that today my name is Josh Crazy Michaels, and I am joined by
Mehgan, Ghost Dog Perrine.
Ghost Dog Perrine. Yours was more of a deep cut, but I like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like dog slashed Perrine, but I stuck with the Ghost Dog.
Okay, I respect your choice. Today we are going to be talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4. Diamond is Unbreakable. This is going to be our Part 1 of 2 videos. We're going to be covering the first half today. That's going to be episodes 1 through 19. We watched the anime once again because I feel like this is the superior way to consume this series. I'm sure there's somebody out there who disagrees, but for me personally, I think for us, watching the anime is so much fun. So we continue that into Part 4. And there's a lot to unpack here in Part 4. But before we get started with all of that today, we are not in cosplay. I know we said that we were going to try our best to cosplay every Volume Done episode. But we're going to do our best to do that in the next video, in the finale video. But today we are rocking some of our very own merch, our Volume 1 Bizarre Adventure merch, featuring some artwork that I did with me and Mehgan in the Iraqi art style. And or as close as I can get to emulating that. It's more maybe the anime style too, but these are a lot of people's favorite. To give you a little fist bump by accident there, but we'll roll with it. I was gesturing, but it's like when you go for a high five and you're like, okay,
okay, bro, let's go.
I was just counting to 5. I was just throwing up the 5. Not to high five, but
Jake, you left me hanging for a long time. Jesus.
But a lot of people have said that this is their favorite shirt of our recent drop. So if you want to cop one for yourself, the link will be in the description down below. It helps us out so much. It means so much to us, and it's another way you can show your support. But
because people, you want to trick people, be like, "Oh, I like your shirt, it's JoJo," and then they look closer. Oh, it's not JoJo.
And you go, kinda.
You go, kinda. It's kind of like JoJo.
It's kind of like JoJo.
It's kind of bizarre like JoJo.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
And then you have them subscribe to our channel because we're trying to hit 20K before 2023.
We're really trying.
I try to push that in before we start.
I like it. It was seamless.
Plug. I don't plug often, but when I do.
Yeah. We got to get them in.
When I do.
But when I do, I plug. I plug. But anyway, speaking of bizarre, Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable was the most bizarre part so far. This is going to be some of our general thoughts on the series, on the part that we're going to be talking about today. Yeah, my expectations were high going in because a lot of people said that this was going to be our favorite part. They were betting money on it.
Every time I go into a new bizarre adventure, I guess, with a new protagonist, they're always high. My expectations, for sure. I'm always like, how is it going to outdo the last part? Or how is this protagonist going to be better than the last one? Because I mean, come on, let's be honest, Jotaro, that's a shadow.
Yeah.
How is he going to make a character as likable and as funny as Jotaro?
Well, and I think that's, part of the reason. I mean, there's always carryover, right? But, Mehgan is dying. That coffee's too strong.
The camera.
No, I'm leaving it on. I'm leaving it on you. This is what people sub for.
I'm gonna die.
You okay? Oh, you're not okay. You're still going. Okay. Camera's staying on.
I'm shedding tears.
A lot of people, there's always carryover, and a lot of people said this was going to be our favorite part.
Can you cut that out?
But no, it's staying in.
No, please.
No, it's staying in. We don't cut anything out. We're all natural. But we were talking to one of our listeners, someone in our community, who had said that Iraqi, I guess, was pressured by his editors to include Jojo again because he was such a fan favorite character. And there were some choices made. And first of all, I mean, I love Jotaro. He has been my favorite protagonist by far, even though Josuke so far has given him a run for his money. But we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, and it is funny because if you look into it, actually Josuke is Araki's favorite.
Oh, really?
Joestar, yeah. And
that's crazy.
I don't know if this part completely, but it would make sense if they like coincide. But this is his favorite Joestar.
Well, I was watching that interview again, the interview that I mentioned watching in the previous part, and he talks about each and every part, and it's kind of broken up that way. So I stopped when he was about to talk about part 4 before we watched it. Since we've watched it, I went back and saw it. And he does talk about how, to him, Josuke is more like a friend. Josuke is a protagonist that you can see yourself befriending, being friends with, and going on adventures with. And Jotaro is more of a legend. He is more of a character that commands more of a presence. He is a walking sort of myth, a legendary person from stories. So comparing it that way, I mean, you do get that sense for sure, and you do see that. I love Josuke, and I really, really, really enjoyed part 4, the half that we've seen so far. Part 3 will always hold a special place in my heart as being the moment when I really felt like I, became a JoJo fan. But part 4 was incredible and the most bizarre so far.
It's so funny that you say that Iraqi said that like this is like your friend. Like it is that vibe of like it's like a kind of like a mystery thriller, like slice of life, like just these 3 friends. I mean, if you really think about Scooby-Doo, that's what it is, like a slice of life mystery thriller.
Right, yeah.
And just some friends, solving mysteries. And that's what it feels like when he gets with, his 2 homies, like when they're all together. It's not the same type of vibe as Stardust Crusaders, or like these are homies, but like these homies will like die. Like these homies are like ready to like put their life on the line for the greater good. Like these are like, the stakes aren't too high as of right now in the story. I'm sure that'll change when we like meet the actual big bad, because it kind of just, like I said, it's like slice of life, so it's not really like completely linear in story. It kind of jumps around. But I like that. I like the diversity.
I mean, this is what I love about JoJo for sure and Iraqi for sure. It feels like you're getting to watch someone on their creative journey, sort of figure out their creative process. Like in real time, you're getting to watch that. You're getting to read that. You're getting to experience that. And I really feel like this is the culmination of every part that has come before. And you really do feel that things that have worked, he keeps, and he kind of takes things a step further and really pushes things in, I think, a better direction. Like everything feels so much more refined. His voice feels so much more confident. And that's what I love about this part. I mean, he's taken an epic scale that was part 3, a worldwide sort of journey across the world in however many days, or around the world in however many days. And in the next part, the follow-up to that is, okay, well, what if in this part, in this section of the story, everything happens in one small town? And I really, really like that a lot, because he also said in that interview that that story around the world in,
30 days, 60
30,
days,
30
90 days, 90 days, 80 days?
80 days.
90,
sorry.
we said it before.
Yeah, sorry. You know what I'm talking
about. Around the world in 90 days. That sounds right.
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I'm still dying. I'm sorry.
But he said in this part, for him, it was more about, he said in that part, in part 3, everything felt like it was taking place in sort of like, it was real places, but that it was more of an epic sort of fantasy setting. It didn't quite feel like it could be the real world. It could have been like an offshoot of our world, an alternate sort of reality. He said that it wasn't as grounded as part 4. And so when he, started part 4, that he wanted it to focus on the mundane, and he pulled from a lot of like more real life, everyday experiences, and that is to like lend to the horror of everything and the creepiness of everything.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I mean, like, he's so meta in this part because, like, obviously Ronan Kishibe.
Yeah.
Rohan Kishibe. You know, he is like a mangaka in this town, and he kind of moved from Tokyo, I think, to here. But it's just funny, like, his experience and talking about just mangakas in general is just like so over exaggerated. But there's parts where I'm like, this is true. There's probably things about this that are true that you're putting into this, which was super funny. And also, the city is based off his hometown.
See, that makes even more sense.
Sendai. I guess Sendai, yeah. So he says like S City and within the M Prefecture, which is Sendai City and Miyagi Prefecture. So this is based off of his like hometown. But he didn't like want to say that because I guess people would have been mad. I don't know. He said he was scared of the backlash. I'm like, what backlash? It would have been that's lit. But maybe there's like serial killers and like that's
yeah. You were painting your town as like this place that's the most dangerous town with all these like murderers
and like child abductions and murders.
You're painting it as like not a very safe place.
Yeah.
Although I think most people don't realize that like more people would want to go there if
for sure.
If they were fans of the series.
For sure.
It would turn more people on than off, I think.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of turn-ons.
A lot of turn-ons. And let's talk about, because we're going to go through beat by beat for sure. But let's talk about, we've talked a little bit about the setting, but let's talk about the gang, right?
The gang.
What's wrong? What was that? What was that face?
Nothing.
It was
I
almost
just
like,
need to grab a water.
Oh, you need to go grab a water?
Yeah.
Go grab a water. Yeah, you're dying. You're dying.
I choked on the coffee.
Yeah, you choked hard.
Yeah.
I'll keep it going. I'll keep everybody entertained while you go get a water. But the gang, I think, is another highlight of this part, and they had a lot to contend with the gang from part 3, with Avdol and Polnareff and Kakuin. I mean, they were the boys, and they still are the boys, but
they're the boys in a different way. Like those are like the boys, and these are like like the boys. Like they're cute. Like they're cuter. They're younger. Well, they're not younger. I think they're around the same age. But they're just they're just more. We were talking about that too. Just like how Josuke just seems like the buffness has definitely been toned down. With these characters. You could love it, you could hate it. Just it is what it is. But I do have a what's the word? Gripe? What is the word?
I don't know. What are you trying to
complaint?
say? Okay, a gripe would work.
Yeah. I would say for the anime for sure, the art style was a bit jarring at first of the change for me. Personally,
and I would love for you to talk more about this. I really, really, really enjoyed the change. Stylistically, I felt like, at least in the anime, and I did buy the first volume of the manga as well. And the art, of course, is amazing. And I've heard and know that it gets better even later into this part. So I will be, kind of looking at that as we go forward. But in terms of the anime, I really enjoyed the different style. And I enjoyed the colors because it did make this small town feel a little off. It made it feel sort of different. It made it just it just lended itself so much to this town being weird. And I think that was with a lot of like the yellow skies and the greens. It was just the colors were not something that you would, I think, expect in a town.
See, scenery for me was fine. That was not my issue at all. That was cool. Everything you said, it added to the I guess like the bizarre nature of this town. Something felt off. Something felt like there was something else happening underneath the carpet of the town, I guess.
Right.
But it was mainly like definitely everyone else. If Jotaro wasn't in the mix, I wouldn't have had anything to compare it to immediately coming off of part 3. But yeah, I mean, damn, Jotaro, they did my man's dirty. So dirty! Like, what did you do to him? Like, and I understand. I get it. I know he was in the desert. I know walking around in the sun, you're going to get a tan. I know. And you might lose all your muscle when you turn fucking 30, but
He's in his late 20s. Let's give him some
28.
credit.
But damn, I look side by side, and it's an L for me. It's an L for me.
Which is bizarre.
Because I was so excited because, we see Joseph, right? We see Joseph, old Joseph. Like, old Joseph can get it, and he did get it.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
We have living proof of that. Yeah, he did get it again.
Yeah, and that's
maybe
something
more
that
than
we're
he should
definitely going to talk about.
Maybe more than he should have.
Right.
But, I was like, oh, he still looks like fine. He still looks good. So I was so excited to see like an older, not like super older, but like an older version of Jotaro because he already looked like he was freaking 30. But yeah, I was heartbroken a little bit. I really was.
You really were,
really
and I
was.
just want to say, watching this with you, was kind of funny because you spent, I think, you couldn't get over it. I think for like the first 3 episodes, you were so taken out by Jotaro's like new quote unquote design. Which for me, it's like, okay, yeah, number one, he's older, he's less rugged, and he's a little more clean cut. And you hated that.
Who wants that?
I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I wanted more. I mean, this was to me like a highlight of the first couple episodes.
Jarring.
I was like, damn.
It was jarring. It was.
But you also said
in general the art style.
Yeah, you also said it wasn't just Jotaro in appearance, but it was like how the style looked a lot more polished and a lot cleaner, and you liked maybe more of that like ruggedness.
Yeah.
What was it exactly?
Harshness, maybe. Yeah, I think it's just like definitely they toned down like the cell shading in most parts. Like just the shading in general is a little more dark in part 3. It's more like light and upbeat in part 4, which is like not a problem. I definitely had to like come around to it and seeing Jotaro just like accepting like this is how he looks now. Like this is just him now. God damn it.
Right.
But yeah, overall, I think there are some parts of it, and I think that people kind of agree that like to get maybe better fluidity in the fights, they kind of are just like we're just gonna tone down, like because sometimes like even Koichi, like some of those like him in the background, I'm like, what is that? His face is like you can't even like it's it's kind of like not rough, but there are parts where I could definitely point it out and be like, but that was same in part 3, so. Maybe I'm just being nitpicky because I'm like, well, you did, my man. The joke was so dirty, but
I mean, it
is just personal preference.
It's personal preference. I kind of enjoyed it a lot, and since we're on the topic of characters and talking about the new gang, we got to talk about Josuke, and then we'll talk about obviously Koichi, and then we'll make our way to I always forget my other boy's name.
I have it.
Yeah, he is my boy.
Okuyasu,
dude. I love Okuyasu. And I would say he's kind of my Polnareff this season. Not that they're similar, just that like I latched on so much
to him,
to Polnareff, and Okuyasu is a lot of fun, man. But let's talk about Josuke and his introduction, right? They meet. I spent so many like hours racking my brain. How is Josuke going to fit into the world? Whose child is he? Whose relative? Who is he related to? How does he fit into the Joestar lineage? Like, is he Jotaro's son? Which is kind of what I had just thought for a long time.
Thought that because usually we get like a pretty good time skip.
Mm-hmm.
Like Joseph like had a kid, got married, had Holly had a kid. Like that's like a significant amount of time between.
Right.
The two. So I don't know. I was just kind of expecting him to be, like his kid or maybe even like his brother, like his little brother, like from Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he had a little brother or something. But
yeah. I was, and that's another thing about just sort of like what I think Araki does in telling the story is amazing. I love that there's a new protagonist. I love that it's generational. I love all these things. How it was originally set up and sold, I was so intrigued. And loved it in concept. However, I think one of the dangers that he sort of accidentally maybe started to run into is that there couldn't be as big of a gap in time for each protagonist just because he was going to catch up to modern day too fast and then have to like make up like future stuff after that. You know what I'm saying? So he I feel like had to slow it down a little bit and make the gaps maybe not as big, not as large. The time that had passed to be a little less, just so he could, because I think he wrote. This is supposed to take place, I think, in the 90s, and I think he wrote it in like the 80s, late 80s, or maybe early 90s. I don't know, but the gap was already closing, and he was like, I can't, time has to pass before I can, write this new generation or whatever. Anyway, all that to say, like, I was racking my brain, so many hours spent. Like, how does he, it's One Piece brain.
So many hours spent.
I mean, really, dude, I was
sitting in a room. Just, how is he related? How is he fucking
for real? Because
how can he be real?
And I was like,
you're so ridiculous.
And I was like, come, like trying to figure it out. For real, dude, for real. And I was so curious that I couldn't help myself anymore.
Dude, you need to stop doing that shit.
And I watched
you need to stop.
the first episode without Mehgan on my own. Because
I've already watched 3 episodes, by the way.
No, it was 1. And I didn't even finish the first episode. I just watched half of it just so I could figure out how the fuck he ties in, because it was like keeping me up at night.
And then you proceed to be like, you want to know?
Well, because we talked about it, and everybody in everybody in the JoJo community, like, we love and has such a different level of excitement and love for this series. But so much so that, not in a crazy way, in a very sweet way, has kind of come up and spoiled so many things that I guess aren't really spoilers. And that's what people have said too in our community. Like, you can't really spoil JoJo. But they'll reveal like bits and pieces of things that I was like, I kind of wish I could have experienced that on my own. But they're doing it because they're just so excited to meet another JoJo fan. And, I don't know. It's a different kind of spoiler. And I forgive them for it because I feel like it's coming from a really good place, a place of love, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is.
It's weird, and you don't want to like stop them. You don't want to be like mid conversation and they're like, oh yeah, and then you go, excuse me, I'm sorry. Can you just stop talking because you're spoiling things for me?
Right. I want to enjoy this on my own.
Yeah, can I just read this by myself? Like, can you not be in? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, no one's gonna do that.
And I think the nature of JoJo, it really doesn't matter, because you can't really predict where anything is gonna go. So I watched the first episode. And I found out, and I could not wait for your reaction. Specifically, I was so excited to see how you were going to react, because I
hate infidelity, like with the passion.
Well, no, I mean, it's just because we had, obviously you got Battle Tendency Part 2 where you meet Joseph. I had my issues with Part 2. I didn't, take to it as much as other people have, but then came around and was sold so much on Joseph in Part 3. Loved old Joseph.
Yeah, he was probably one of my favorite characters.
Same.
Yeah.
And then you take Part 4 and you say, okay, you remember this guy that you had this like relationship with personally, Josh, like Iraqi's talking to me. He's like, remember this guy? How you didn't like him, and then you came around to him after all this time. He won you over. Well, he actually cheated on his wife after Part 3.
Yeah. After
Part 3. It wasn't like before when he was young. It was like when he was older. He cheated on his wife, and he had a love child, and that's who Josuke is.
It's after Part 3? How old was he in Part 3?
I don't know exactly, but it is after. It was after Part 3.
Yeah, he goes, wow, that was a crazy.
Or not after. I guess let me walk that back, because if we look at some of the events that happened chronologically, it might have been, he was definitely old, but
he was like 65.
But it would have been before Part 3, because Josuke, there was that scene of Josuke in the car reacting to them fighting Dio when he was a baby. Remember? So remember when Holly was like suffering from her stand and everything because of what Dio had like awakened them.
Oh, yeah.
Josuke was a baby in the back of a car, and his mom was taking him to the hospital, which is another thing that we have to talk about. Maybe one of my favorite like mysteries teased so far. But yeah, so it would have been like a couple years, like maybe 3 years before the events of Part 3.
Yeah.
Still, he was old as fuck when he did it.
With like a 20-year-old, yeah.
With like a really young girl.
Like a student, yeah.
Which is like, okay, whatever. It wasn't like he did something fucking illegal, but still, it is like, it's just shitty.
No, it's just like, damn, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like, damn.
The whole time I was
and
rooting for you, you had a
literally-
love child.
Yeah, you had a love child, and it's like you were not only lying to your wife for years about stand users and what you do for a living, you were also lying about having another child. Like,
well, he
the
didn't know he
lies.
had a kid.
Okay, well, the lies ran deep.
Right.
Affair.
Right. An affair.
An
Yeah.
affair. Yeah.
He
Because
didn't know
I don't
he had a
think
kid,
that-
which is
I mean, usually, it could happen this way, but I don't think it, one and done, she's pregnant.
I mean, it could. It could happen
but
that
the
way. And
likelihood.
but she did seem, Josuke's mom does seem head over heels for Joseph.
yeah.
So
it must have been like a relationship. Like, he must have.
but the fact that they add on that other layer of like Suzy Q being devastated.
Yeah, they're like, he was actually devastated completely. Like, it ruined her life. And
Yeah.
now she has to be old and deal with her husband cheat. I'm like, oh, God. And he's senile as hell, too. Like,
Yeah. It was
ruined their
it was
family.
weird.
It broke apart their family. Like, what a crazy man.
But what I didn't expect is for it to lend to some really emotional moments that, again, I hate to keep going back to this interview, but it's from the man himself, the mangaka, the genius himself. Him saying, and it's always funny to hear Rocky talk about writing all these parts because it is a lot of like discovery along the way. He talks about how in his mind, like part 4 isn't really done because he wishes that he could have, I don't know if it was time from like, he didn't feel like he had enough time or was pressured by his editors or just like the Shonen Jump machine. But he said he really wishes he could have given more time to the Josuke Joseph sort of dynamic and maybe given Josuke even more complex sort of feelings and emotions about it, or just had the opportunity to like write them and display them more. Because even in this first half of episodes, when Joseph does enter the picture, there are some really beautiful and touching moments. And I almost love that. At first I thought Josuke not being bothered by it was convenient for the story, like just to keep things moving. But I've grown to like really like that about him as a character because
Yeah. He is the type of guy to just like, he needs to like push these things down or like move past these things to like just get it done. Like, he doesn't hold on necessarily to like, I don't know. I mean, his hair, obviously that ticks him off, but like
that's this like Marty McFly chicken thing.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just like, this is gonna be. I mean, I have to do this. Like, he has to come. I'm not getting out of this. Like, I have to face this, so I might as well just like not care. But I would say like you were saying with the complexity of like their relationship, like it was pretty complex because like he cared but not enough to like make a scene, or like I was expecting him to be like, I don't want to see him at all, like, classic shit. Like, I don't know, it just was like so kind of just like normal a little bit, to the point where it's like, let me help you. Like, it just felt just
that
like
when,
this
and
was...
when Josuke starts, I mean, I know we're jumping around, but when Josuke starts blushing
Mhm.
when he's having to carry him, like something about that just being a very, quiet moment, meaning that like Josuke wasn't really like expressing all of these things outwardly, but this subtle sort of display of like rosy cheeks and like awkwardness, like that spoke a lot to sort of, I think, what he was feeling. And I almost like that more.
Yeah. And also just him. Like, he is just like, he is like the definition of like, I don't care, but like also I care about everything. He
Well,
is that like
definitely-
fine line of like that mix of just like, he's just like a really good guy. Like Jotaro, like, obviously he's a good guy, but he keeps it in his heart, like in his heart of hearts, and Josuke is just like a good guy outwardly.
Yeah,
more so.
Josuke, Jotaro, is more. He is rough around the edges. He is, rugged. He is harsh. He is intense. But he does. It's not that I don't think buries his feelings deep. Like that's just how he expresses himself. But everything he does is just brutally honest, and he is a person who cares for other people.
His actions are louder than
Yeah,
words.
kinda.
And Josuke, like, his words like follow his actions, I guess. Like, he will like comfort you and say it's gonna be okay, versus Jotaro just like, come on, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
You can't do this right now. We gotta
Yeah.
keep moving.
And that's why it almost is like seeing them together. That is, I think, the perfect pair. Like they are the perfect pair. They complement each other so well. On top of like Josuke's stand being Crazy Diamond, being maybe one of my favorite. Maybe I enjoy more than Star Platinum. Just for its ability and to see like Josuke like be this way, who he is, this person he is, but to also be able to cause so much destruction, and then be able to heal it right after. Like when he was first introduced and he's punching through like the person being kidnapped, but also through their kidnapper, and then like healing them.
And I was
so amazing.
I was kind of scared of that being a huge cop out at the beginning. I was like, oh God, here we go. A stand that can heal everything and no one could ever die and nothing could ever happen because you can just immediately heal them and it's all good. But literally, I think in the first or second episode, like that's pretty much nullified where it's like, yeah, you can't bring people back once they're dead, they're dead. And I was like, oh, okay, there's a limitation. Like that's cool. And there are a couple here and there.
Like he can't bring people back from the dead. He can't heal himself, and he can't restore anything that the hand Okuyasu stand has taken.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, yeah, I was real. I don't know why I expected it to be like it's all good, like it could just do whatever it wants. So that was cool to see those limitations because again, like he can't heal himself back from the dead, and he can't even heal himself in general. So
yeah,
pretty crazy.
How do you feel about? We'll move on, and again, then we'll go through sort of like the episodes and talk more. But I feel like we got to talk about the introduction, obviously our new protagonist, and then his two buds that we've met so far. And we'll meet some more later. But just to talk about, I think the main two, Okuyasu and Koichi. What are your thoughts on? We'll start with Koichi. What are your thoughts on him? Because that same listener in our community was saying that this was a character that kind of like almost ruined part 4 for him. But it's again personal preference.
Yeah. Again with that expectation going in, and especially in the first episode, I was like, "What is this fucker doing?" Like
it's like the first like 2 or 3.
Yeah. What are you like doing? Like you don't really know him. Why are you just hanging around these two people? Like why are you just hanging around? Like you're lurking. Like go. Like I was like, why are you? Not to be mean, but I was like, what is he doing?
Why are you so invested?
And why
in
is he
this
like?
Isn't your business?
Why is he
this
like
isn't your family?
Yeah, he's like journaling it, and he's just like thinking about him all day. Like I wonder how he's doing. I wonder what this town means. I'm just like, bro. Like no one knows who you are. Like you're not a Joestar as much as you want to be. Like I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing. And then eventually, like, oh, okay, he had to have gotten a stand. There's no way he could have.
Sure.
I thought that he was legit. It was going to be like him, and Jotaro, and then, Josuke, and they were all just gonna be like going about their business, and he didn't have a stand, and he was just kind of like a character that like just went with them places. I was like, okay, there's no way.
Yeah, he felt. I was worried he was gonna be another like Anne or another like Smokey or another like kid younger character.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out like him and Josuke are like the same age. He's just a short
tiny.
king. A tiny king.
Tiny king.
But yeah, I thought he was just going to be one of those other characters again.
Yeah, but once he started to get his reins a little bit and his ability, he uses it pretty cool. Like he's not my favorite, but I don't like I don't mind him. Like I'm not he's not a problem to me. I don't like hate him or anything. I wouldn't say he's like the best guy ever, but I like him. He's cool. He is very Deku-ish.
I could see that. Yeah.
He's just like, I don't know how to use my quirk.
He's been given this power.
Yeah, given this power. He doesn't know how to use it, and he kind of is still like kind of scared, of everything. And maybe the dub kind of lends itself because it is that. It's like Tanjiro's voice actor from Demon Slayer, so it's just like, come on, guys, we have to go, and we have to do that, and it's just like very like anime boy, small anime boy.
Right.
But yeah.
I really, again, maybe it was sort of the expectation of like maybe not liking him when we first went into it, but I really don't mind Koichi at all. I think his stand, is really, really, really incredible, creative,
Cute.
and cute. And
I like it. It's very cute.
and how it has all these, different forms and everything is really cool. Echoes is really cool. And I loved seeing him sort of. I loved the process of like someone getting a stand. And I liked the arrow and how it was kind of brought back and tied in with part 3. But I really, 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 really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Mhm.
Him as a character, I do agree, was like maybe a little annoying, or ran the risk of being annoying in the beginning. But I think ultimately for me, I didn't end up minding him. I think
Yeah.
he's kind of, he's kind of funny. I mean, he's kind of like, you kind of,
Yeah,
he's not the best.
No, yeah, exactly. And
But
that's
he's not the worst.
that's what I like about this little clan, I guess, because like they aren't a Kakyoin, they aren't a Polnareff, they aren't an Avdol, they aren't like these guys who are just like badass, like already like invested fighters. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not super skilled, and they're not super buff, and they're not super like I'm a legend. Like they are just like kids almost. So that's
Yeah.
what makes me like them even more. And that's why the Koichi thing, like, it's like, yeah, he would probably act that way if he didn't know how to use this thing. Like Polnareff had it since he was a child. Like all of them have had them since, usually, I mean, except for Jotaro,
Yeah.
had them since they were kids. Like, so it makes sense for them to get these new powers and like not really know how to navigate them too much. It takes
Right.
work, obviously. And that's with half of the stand users that we see in this whole season, or this whole, first part that we watched.
And that's another thing I really liked. I liked because, again, was racking my brain on where the story was going to go, and it kind of still is up in the air. The new, I guess, plot device or reason that there are more stands is because of this arrow. But we even went into the first episode like, okay, this is the new villain that they're going to have to fight, and he's worse than Dio. He's like a serial R-wordist and killer and child R-worder and all these things, and we're like, damn, this is worse than Dio.
He is worse than Dio. I was like, this is the villain. Like, this is a villain, like an actual, like Dio was just a vampire. Like he just had to do what he had to do. Like that's his nature. But this guy's like a human being, and he takes pride in this shit. Like,
and then immediately he's sort of taken out. We're like, okay, where the hell is it going to go? This first chunk, I think like, I would say like 6 episodes was like the biggest what the fuck, I guess, chunk of episodes, especially because we get to like Okuyasu and his brother.
Bro, that was the introduction
Nijimura brothers.
of the... I was like, what an introduction.
An incredible introduction.
I mean, again, with the freaking OPs, I knew that Okuyasu was going to come around at some point.
Right.
So that kind of sucked, because I really, if I didn't know that, I would have thought like, oh, this guy's like a big, like he's a bad guy. But of course, whatever. You know how I feel about the OP sometimes, because they just give everything away. But yeah, that was crazy. We're like, here's the evil guy. Oh, his dad is sick.
Holy fuck, dude. That was crazy.
I liked the ramifications of Dio, not only to the Joestars, but like people he had interacted with.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
The dad was probably the tip of the iceberg, and there's probably so many other people that were dealing with Dio's death. And not like, oh, I'm free. It's like, oh, now I'm gonna like decompose into this thing. Like, I like the twist on that, because usually when the big bad dies, it's like, all the shackles are broken.
Yep.
And no, it was like, no, your life is gonna get worse. Yeah.
And talking about the stands too, and even like the Nijimura brother part, and just like the introduction of Okuyasu, the stands, the hand, and even Echoes are just like, the stands are way more creative. Like they were pretty straightforward. They were awesome, and there were some that were like really weird and out there, and still incredible in their own way. But these just feel like way more creative. Like the creativity's dialed up. Like not just with Crazy Diamond, but with all of them. Like the hand, like wiping and being able to like remove the space between people and drawing them in. I mean, it was just like visually, it was really, really, really cool. I don't feel like the animation was as like the first episode of part 3, like my jaw was on the floor. And I don't feel like the animation was like as strong right away, but it has its moments. It has its moments for sure. But people have also said that it does get better later on into the season. But it's not something that I was upset by. I did just notice that it wasn't as as overly, not overly, but it wasn't just as animated as I'm trying to say it in a way that doesn't sound like I'm dissing part 4. It's just that like the part 3, the opening episode, the way the cameras were like spinning around them, it was just like
the direction
was so amazing. And it was just kind of good in part 4, but it does again have its moments.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's again with the art style kind of changing with it,
Right.
you know. But I did like the Okuyasu and Josuke like first fight that they had. There were some cool moments in there with the direction and you know the like you said.
That was when I
using the
noticed
hand
for me was like this is the
here
animation
it is.
I want like throughout the whole series.
Yeah, here it is. But yeah, I like Okuyasu a lot. He is that like lovable like meathead character.
Meathead, yeah.
And that's kind of like what Polnareff was a little bit, like a sensitive meathead, but like we just, you know, it's just meathead central. We love a good lovable meathead, you know.
Yeah,
how many times can I say meathead before it loses its meaning?
Because he's not like, he is over the top, but he's not like,
he's just kind of dumb
he's
too.
Dumb,
yeah,
and he's just like always like, I don't know how to phrase it exactly, but he is always just like, you can tell what he cares about and what he prioritizes in people, and how he kind of views the world is very simple, and it solves a lot of his problems with just like immediately jumping to anger and brute force, and doesn't really put a lot of thought into things, and sees somebody and is just like, dang, she's kind of hot, or like, you know, your mom's kind of hot, or that girl's kind of hot. Like, he's just so lovably, like you said, dumb. And I think him and Josuke just paired together, they're just so cool.
I mean,
like,
the whole
just running around by their ankles.
Ankle biter.
Yeah.
Like Josuke and Okuyasu, like they definitely have grown on me as like a duo. Koichi is there, but they're like the homies. And the whole Jigekyo, the Yangu, that guy, the pineapple head guy.
Oh,
that whole episode with them two and him, like they're so funny. All three of them are just so
Okuyasu
funny.
and Josuke together is just like hilarious, and Koichi's always off doing his own freaking thing, where it seems like that, like he's off.
It's been a while since I feel like we've seen them all together because of the whole ghost girl. He's been like with Rohan like a lot.
I mean, he's been with Rohan Kishire a lot, but he was also with Yukako Yamagishi. He also had his own episode with her. He had his own episode with another time with the lock guy. He kind of went on his own, and
Toshikazu too, the doll guy. They went with Rohan. Yeah. They're funny together too.
Oh, that was okay. And you reminded me of another point. This feels like the most, because okay, you look at Fist of the North Star and you say, like, okay, that is what really inspired, I think, a lot of these like designs and these like proportions, anatomy of these characters, art styles, sure. But this specific part felt the most Dragon Ball. I like, it just felt like so Dragon Ball, maybe a little Dragon Ball Z, but just very Dragon Ball in its character proportions for sure. Like I do, and designs for sure. Not to mention like Chili Pepper, I believe is his name, Red Hot Chili Pepper. It was a big player, and this guy looks like Frieza. He looks like Golden Frieza.
The bird.
This bird character.
Yeah,
here.
I liked how the bird, Red Hot Chili Pepper.
Do you know what Frieza looks like?
Isn't it the purple guy?
Yeah. I just got.
Sorry, I don't have a crazy knowledge of. Yeah, I could see it.
I mean,
if he was a bird.
I mean, it's literally him with like a beak. I feel like. I mean.
Oh yeah, I could see it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean.
Is he like an alien or?
Yeah, Frieza's an alien. Yeah. Frieza's
we
an
have
alien.
an anime and manga podcast. I'm like, is Frieza an alien or?
He just. I mean, I understand people who didn't like
grow up
with DBZ. I get it. It's definitely not everybody's cup of tea. But yeah, they just, and again, like, I don't know, something about the feeling of it and the character designs and the hair, like even like Koichi's whole transformation. It's just so funny. And they straight up made this fool look like Polnareff, like baby Polnareff.
Yeah. I think Araki just likes to draw that art, that hairstyle.
Right.
Like I don't know, how would you describe it? Like sergeant, like
kinda.
what is it, like sergeant?
It's
sergeant
like,
cut.
Yeah, it's like an army sergeant. Yeah, like just buzzed on the top, but
Yeah.
like high.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, again, I mean, all of this is like, this is the first time I've kind of felt this like this fun, like friendly energy in JoJo with the relationships between everyone, because
Right.
it does have that just like, small town slice of life, like mystery thriller, instead of like, we're going to defeat the greatest vampire of all time, like it is.
Yeah.
It just feels so different, and it is just so fun. Like, I'm just having a really good time watching it.
Yeah.
Because it has that.
I'm having a blast too watching it. And before we start going through, I just want to say, we still have half of the part to watch. But so far, I mean, it's probably equal in my heart and mind with part 3. So far, I'm enjoying it equally. Part 3, I think overall there was some lulls, and it did go on for, I think, a little too long. This is shorter. Hopefully, we'll end up feeling tighter. But they're kind of at the same level for me right now at this moment. I have my bias and my emotional attachments to part 3, but part 4 I do think is right up there with it. And because of all those reasons you stated, I mean, I think that I love the setting, making it more intimate, making it more of like a horror kind of thriller mystery kind of thing. I love the vibe from all the characters.
Yeah, it's so cozy, and it just, again, like, I like the concept of like, not every stand is like evil,
That's
and
what I
they
was gonna
can
say.
be redeemable.
Yeah.
I like that. Not just like, we're gonna go against every stand user is against us. It's like, they could work with us maybe at some point.
Because yes, exactly what I was gonna say. In part 3, you really felt like every stand user they came across was working for Dio and was the most evil and was not redeemable. I mean, people were even like, unaliving themselves before they got captured. I mean, it was pretty intense. Like, everybody was pretty bad. But here it's like these are just people who live in this small town
That were shot
with an arrow and got this new ability, and some of them are using it for their own personal gain.
Yeah, and some of them don't even know that there's others.
Right.
That's like cool. Like, every stand user was knew about the others. And it was cool to finally kind of get that, like, how did Dio get his stand? And it was like old lady.
Yeah.
The old hag.
And yeah,
because it makes sense, because she was like training him and like telling him how to use it and coaching him. I'm like, why is he listening to this lady? Like, he's Dio,
Right.
Dio doesn't listen to anybody.
Yeah, it was really refreshing to see just stand users with, I think, more creative stands. Not that they weren't super creative in part 3. They absolutely were. But again, people who were just
people
living their own lives and doing
or kids,
all kinds of things with their stands. Some meaner and more evil than others, and some just like some evil and some just like maybe bad people that are just doing bad things, but not like on a world scale.
Yeah, on a world scale, I'm gonna destroy the world. They are just like, I'm gonna make my world a little bit better,
right, for myself. Yeah,
for myself.
So yeah, overall, I think you can't obviously have part 4 without part 3. I love them equally, but we'll see how that changes going forward when we get to the end.
People say, like, towards the end, like, when we finally like know who we're dealing with, I guess, who's like the real enemy, that's when it starts, like, that's when it starts popping off.
I'm the most excited. I mean, I keep saying that. That's how you know. I mean, a series is really good. I'm the most excited I've ever been to continue. Like, I didn't know where we were going when we jumped into this part, and we're just getting started. But speaking of just getting started, let's start going through the events more chronologically, just so we can talk about other stand users, other fights, other moments, other highlights for us personally. I feel like we did cover a lot of the events of part 1. Of episode 1, excuse me. And part 1.
We're already done.
We're done. But that was just mainly the introduction of Josuke and Jotaro, finding out that Joseph again had an affair. Crazy choice to make.
I mean, it kept it interesting.
It did.
It kept it bizarre,
And it made him, like, I guess, human, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, yeah, he was kind of like not a womanizer, but you know, when we read his part, he was like all
Right.
about the ladies. So it doesn't like it's not surprising. And he's a man. So
Right. He's a man. Figures. Not that shocking.
But I do feel bad. I love if you go to the character list really quick, I absolutely like adore Josuke's mom's like introduction. She is just so fun and so badass.
Tomoko.
And like Tomoko, like I don't know, I'm shipping her and Jotaro.
Bro, that was another thing too. Like that was a crazy moment.
They had some chemistry. They had some chemistry.
They had chemistry.
And they are very alike. Like they are very alike. And like that would be awesome. Not awesome. I mean, kind of weird.
It'd be weird as fuck because you set it up so that, or now it is that like Jotaro is Josuke's nephew. Josuke is Jotaro's uncle. And so he'd be like fucking his, I don't know, grandpa's ex-lover.
I know, but they're not related.
They're not related.
That's fine.
They're not
it would
related.
be only weird for Josuke.
Yeah, but I do kind of ship them too a little bit.
Yeah.
There was that moment I was like, damn, I feel a tension.
Well, because she was like, oh, I thought, like, okay, first of all, Jotaro and, you met that man when he was 65. Okay, he did not look like Jotaro. You met Joseph when he was 65. He does not look like Jotaro at 28. That's kind of disrespectful, Tomoko. You were blinded by love, I guess.
You were blinded by love.
But even before that, even after that, like the whole like, oh, I thought you were someone else. I was like, oh, I see a little sparks flying.
I saw sparks too.
I see a little sparks flying.
I saw sparks.
And yeah, but I love her.
Yeah, she's great. It's their introduction. We also get to meet, again, Crazy Diamond for the first time. We get to see his ability. Again, one of my favorite abilities. Just so cool to see animated and to see how it's used in all of these different situations, not just with breaking through walls and then repairing the walls so that they can hide behind them, but to actually like take that stand out of his mom's chest or punch right through that girl.
Very graphic.
To plant the knife into that guy's belly. Yeah. I mean, so fucking awesome. So fucking cool. One of my favorite stand abilities. And I absolutely loved this introduction and this introduction episode. But we do learn, I think, in this first episode, we do learn about Angelo, who we really thought was going to be the big bad.
Yeah, he's really like, he's like, oh, got you, oh, with the big bads in this. I wonder when it's gonna happen in the next part.
And we talked about it a little bit already, but we thought Angelo, we were like, dude, this guy is freaking evil. This guy is
evil as fuck.
I mean, we really thought like who can top
evil.
Dio? That's kind of how we went into part 4. Like, who can top Dio?
Yeah.
And then they introduced Angelo, and we're like, he did it. Araki did it, dude. He introduced someone way more evil than Dio, and then he gets got in like episode 2, I think. But yeah, in his stand Aqua necklace, which was a really cool stand.
I loved that. Just the whole house arc thing where they're staying inside and they realize it's the rain.
Yeah.
And then that was really cool. I like seeing them work together too.
Oh yeah, and this is when we start setting up like, okay, Angelo was just a regular human who did some very awful things and was on death row.
A lot of awful
things. Never showed any signs of being able to use a stand, and then one day, as he's about to be executed, acquires the ability of a stand. How is this happening? How is this possible? This is the first mystery that's set up.
Yes.
On top of like these severed hands that keep showing up throughout, which we finally got some like maybe resolution on with the ghost girl. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Interesting. Because it would make more sense if like, I don't know, like she had no hand, but he really seems into hands. Maybe it's like a it's a phase of his. He goes through phases.
Sure, yeah. Maybe he's in his hand phase.
Maybe in his hand phase. Yeah.
Maybe he was taking feet and then he got tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the big mystery. Like, how did Angelo get this stand? And then of course, this is when I think the stakes get really set up because we're introduced to not only Josuke and his mom, but to Josuke's other grandfather, or I guess grandfather, because
Joseph's his dad.
Anyway,
so his only grandfather.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not his only, but
the
one he knows.
who is the police in that town. So Angelo obviously has a grudge against him because he was the guy who like arrested him.
I know you. You arrested me when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like Psycho.
And then we immediately learn the limitations of Crazy Diamond because Josuke's grandfather gets murdered.
Yeah. The aqua necklace. He disguised himself as like cognac. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Cognac?
cognac, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, he loves his drinking. When his day's done, and he just like chugs it, and then he dies.
Yeah, he pounded it.
Yeah, he did.
Blinked.
No,
Josuke blinked.
it was
and it was
all
gone.
Yeah,
Like me before I got sober, dude. Damn.
The whole bottle just
Whole bottle. Blink of an eye.
2 seconds gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died, and I was like, oh, like he's gonna save him with Crazy Diamond. Here we go. Here's where everything is fine, no stakes, and then no, he actually died.
Yeah, and he's trying to bring back his dead grandfather, and his like he's healing his wounds. His wounds are healing, but he's still like pale and dead. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Here we fucking go.
And it was
this is serious.
It was really touching because like in a way, I mean, Jojo was able to bring back his grandpa. Not like actually, but yeah, he was able to save him.
No,
and
he
like
actually was able to bring back his grandpa.
because he did do all that.
No, he did.
He's like the blood transfusion.
Yeah.
And yeah, Josuke wasn't able to. So that was just the parallels between them two. Like he has to deal with that death. Jotaro, obviously dealt with the deaths of everyone else in his group, but he could have his grandpa.
I would be so mad if, because we've only watched half of this part. If in the second half of this part, something happens and Jotaro's like, Josuke's grandfather walks around the corner and Jotaro's like, we had to lie to you and tell you he was dead so that you would have a motivation.
There's no way.
And they pull some off-doll shit, I would be fucking pissed.
They would only do that to Polnareff for some reason. I don't know why. That was the saddest shit of all time. And he's like, why would you do this?
Yeah. But
what was the point?
It gives Josuke the motivation to want to protect the town. As someone who was kind of like, just living his life.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to deal with you coming here telling me about my dad. I don't give a...
Yeah.
Just let me be.
Yeah, he was like, I don't really give a fuck. My life's pretty chill.
He's like, he doesn't need to... he does not need to come over here. He does not need to give me anything. We're cool.
I'm sorry. He even apologized. Like, I'm sorry for causing a problem in your
sad.
family. Yeah.
And Jotaro's like, why are you apologizing? Like, you're apologizing for, like... my grandpa's like fucking mistake, but
right, yeah,
he happened.
Right, yeah.
I was just like, oh, he's a
good
kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid. But yes, this gives him his grandfather's death gives him the motivation to want to protect the town and be the protector that his grandfather was. His grandfather was a police officer who held it down in Morio for years and years and years. Now with him gone, he's kind of like taking that mantle. So that was honestly a very sad moment, but a really, I think, great way to make Josuke care about what was going to happen.
And to show the limitations. Mm-hmm.
And to show the limitations. That's why I think this was executed so beautifully and so perfectly. And again, Iraqi, I just do feel like is figuring it out, learning. That's what I like. The creative process has been shrouded in so much mystery, and so many people like to talk about it and romanticize it, but I just do feel like something about JoJo, you're getting to experience it and witness it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because Iraqi's very transparent about it. And you just do get to see him sort of like try things out along the way. And they all come to a head and they all become a culmination of each other and make this like beautiful thing. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. That's kind of the first 2 episodes. Then we get into...
Oh, yeah. And he gets turned into a rock.
Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy because, he Josuke uses Crazy Diamond to put him into this rock, and he becomes like a, what do you call it? Like a tourist attraction.
Yeah. There's like 3, I think, that we've seen so far of like tourist attractions. Like, when the girl fell in the bouncy rock, and people are just seeing these things from afar.
I like that.
And then they're made into these like staples
like
in the
urban
town.
legends.
Yeah, urban legend, like sightseeing stuff, which is really funny. But yeah, it turns him into a rock, and that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's in this episode that he starts saying like he's coming, like this guy. They starts giving you more about more information about who this person is.
Yeah.
He's like, I was a normal guy, and one day someone broke into my cell and shot me with an arrow, and now we're like, oh, okay. So
he's this guy in a school uniform, and he
Yeah.
can give the power of stands. And we're like, what?
we're like, oh shit, is
He
this
goes to
like
the school.
Dio's
Koichi.
descendant? Who is it? Like, what's happening? How is this person able to make anybody a stand user? Like, I don't know. I mean, the way it's unfolding is like really intriguing because we thought this was the new big bad, and then it's not. There's another guy, and he's shrouded in mystery, and then we're finding out little bits and pieces. Then Jotaro's like, the arrow that sounds familiar from these ancient ruins. I'm gonna have the Speedwagon Foundation look into it, and it's like, okay, damn, this is like good. This is fucking awesome. Shit. Fuck.
Shooty.
Then we get into episode 3, which is titled The Nijimura Brothers Part 1. And of course, episode 4 is Part 2. This whole chunk of episodes with and there's Nijimura Brothers Part 3. So these 3 episodes, I feel like we could talk about as one sort of moment.
Bro. Crazy.
Did not expect this to be as emotionally impactful as it was. It started off kind of like silly and kind of goofy.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah. It was wild.
Wild is, I feel like, an understatement. It was bizarre. I'm going to stop saying that.
Bizarre. You always get me for saying it, and you're like, yeah, we get it. And you've said it like 3 times this episode.
I have said it a lot. But this is where, Koichi, who's been tagging along besides Josuke.
Just tagging along, just walking around.
Yeah.
Following him around. And
they find this house, this rundown house that is occupied by the Nijimura brothers, which are Okuyasu and his brother, whose name is Kaicho?
Kaito? Where are you? Oh, Kaito?
Yeah.
Keicho.
I'm just gonna say Okuyasu's older brother. And
you can say his stand name too.
Right.
His stand name too. Bad Company.
Bad Company.
Yeah.
Right. But this is when we're introduced to Okuyasu as a protagonist. I mean, as an antagonist, and his stand, the hand, is revealed, and then we realize that his older brother, Okuyasu's older brother, is the one who is the man in the school uniform breaking into prisons and going around town shooting criminals with this magical arrow that gives them the ability of stand users. And we're sort of wondering, I mean, I'm wondering at this point, like, why is this guy doing this? What's this guy's motivation for doing this?
Yeah, he's working for Dio.
Right, yeah.
It's the only logical explanation or something. Yeah, like working for a bigger bad. Like,
yes.
There is only one explanation of why he would be doing this. And it was like, no.
Yeah.
Everything you thought, no. Like, absolutely not.
The way these whole 3 episodes unfold are so crazy. First of all, okay, we meet this guy in the abandoned house around the same area as Josuke's house. Koichi's there. Koichi gets fucking gets shot with an arrow. Immediately, I'm thinking like, okay, Koichi's probably gonna get a stand, but still, in the meantime,
because there's a chance of death too. They don't always survive. So I was like, oh.
I mean,
but he's in the OP. Yeah.
Yeah. Mehgan's crusade against OPs. But then, it's Josuke displaying that he has a good heart, right, by being in there and it's kind of saving Okuyasu from his brother, who's like, you've been holding me back, and shooting him with these little invisible bullets, like look like they're coming out of nowhere, and they're just like punching holes in everybody. And this is where we also learned that
a Swiss cheese stand.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We also learned that this is where Crazy Diamond can't heal Josuke.
Yeah.
Which again, gives tension, adds tension to this moment. But he does heal Okuyasu, and Okuyasu's like, "Why are you doing this?
Why'd you do this, bro?"
Yeah. But we find out that the little guys, and of course it's his older brother who's behind everything. The little guys are his older brother's stand, and they are little soldiers,
little toy soldiers. Yeah,
they have little tanks.
Toy Story. Yeah.
So Toy Story, so small soldiers. Little tanks,
very small soldiers, yeah.
Little grenades, little bullets. I mean, it's crazy.
Missiles, yeah.
Missiles,
helicopters, fighter jets. I mean, like you name it. Like anything in it, like a army would have. These guys have.
Yeah, and Bad Company
Bad Company.
I think the name. There. Oh yeah, Bad Company.
Which was so crazy. Yeah.
But again, Okuyasu's older brother does seem to have like a very intense motivation for doing all of these things and making all of these criminals into stand users, and at the cost of even like sacrificing his own brother to achieve that. But we're still wondering like what this all is. We do get to see again like Josuke outsmart him in this situation, and like use Crazy Diamond to like I think repair like a grenade and then use it back.
Yeah, also before that we get Koichi's like first stand usage, right? He puts out the egg.
Right.
And they're like, okay, it's an egg.
Well, because Josuke uses Crazy Diamond to heal him.
Yeah.
And make him.
So he's in a fight, quote unquote fight now.
Right.
But he has no idea how to use the stand.
Right.
And he's just like, use your stand now. And he's like, I don't know how. And it's just like this egg. And I was really curious, like, what is this egg
Me
gonna
too.
be? Is it gonna be? It's gonna be a bird? Is it gonna be? I don't know.
I kind of saw it as like this is how like a stand. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but I was like, maybe this is how a stand is like born. Like we're getting to watch a stand be born and grow, and this is just kind of maybe how it starts, and maybe because Koichi didn't survive on his own, like he had to have the help of Josuke and his stand to be able to survive. Maybe that's why his stand wasn't as fully like just manifested, that it had to sort of like grow stronger over time. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it. But I was like, this is cool. I mean, that was my own headcanon, and it added to my enjoyment of it. So
yeah, good for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All that to say, yeah, we get up to the very top after all this has happened, and we realize that there's like somebody chained up in the attic.
Yeah, I don't even know what I thought. I was like, Dio? It's Dio.
I was like, who the
anything,
fuck?
I just think it's like I'm cursed.
And then it was like this creature, and we find out that this creature was their father who worked for Dio, but when Dio died, like the flesh buds like took over his whole body and turned him into this monster who can't even speak, doesn't even quote unquote remember who he is.
Yeah, and he like just rummages through this chest, and he's been doing that for as long as they can remember. I mean, they at one point they were just like orphaned, and they have to like watch their dad. And the whole goal of Keicho Nijimura, Okuyasu's brother, he just wants to kill him. Like nothing can kill him, so he's looking for a stand ability that can just like put him out of his misery, pretty much. And he's like rummaging through this like chest, and he just like Okuyasu's brother's just like beating the shit out of him. He's like, how many times have I told you not to rummage through this chest? Like, you idiot, you dumbass. And even like Josuke's like, okay, bro, like chill. Like, that's your dad still. Like, damn, you're beating the shit out of him like every day. How much do you do this? Like, is this your hobby? Like, chill. And then he ends up like Josuke sees something in the box, and he like remedies it and makes it better. And it's like a family picture of all of them before he turned.
Yeah.
And then it's just like so emotional. Like
sad.
He's remembered this whole time, and I've just been beating the shit out of him.
So fucking sad.
And even Okuyasu's just like, we can do, like, he can help us like stop this madness, like think. And his brother's just like, no. Like, so just like still dead set. Like,
yeah,
it was still weird why he just didn't choose to help him at the end.
Right.
Because he just saw what I don't know.
He was just traumatized, scarred. He was too far gone, I think.
Yeah.
And he's kind of been, like you said, going around the town and just like turning people into stand users to find a stand that could kill his dad for him. Yeah. Then Chili Pepper, one of the stand users that he created, like comes through and murders him, kills him, fries him on the telephone line.
That was sad for Okuyasu. I had to look down at my page.
No, it was sad for Okuyasu for sure.
Yeah, it was. He's just like, his brother's just, and he even said, he's like, I knew this would happen eventually. Like, if he kept doing this.
Yeah, and this is the whole 3-part sort of episode, or chunk of episodes that really like introduces us to Okuyasu and gives him the motivation for joining the team again. I really do enjoy how everything does feel a lot more cohesive and more linear in like a storytelling sort of sense. Like everything is kind of working towards a bigger, like everything is sort of unraveling a new mystery, something else. And we're kind of like, whereas like part 3 was just like, we knew what the goal was from the beginning, and then every episode was just like
stand battle,
getting there.
battle.
But this is like things are unfolding, things are like leading to the next thing, and I really do enjoy that. But
yeah,
in terms of like this whole chunk of episodes, 3 episodes, incredibly emotional. Did not expect it. Incredibly bizarre. Just over the top, wild, and really set a beautiful tone for I think this season. Like,
yeah,
I mean, me and Megan were looking at each other like so many times in these like chunk of 4 or maybe even 5 at this point episodes. Like, what is happening? What the fuck are we watching? Where is this going? I mean, I didn't feel that at all in part 3. In part 4, which you'd think you have a sense for the show at this point. You're like,
yeah,
I have no idea, like, what even I'm supposed to be feeling. Because, I think I'm mad, then I'm, like, emotional, and then I'm like, who is that? Where are we going? Like, it was kind of a really exhilarating, I guess, feeling, and a perfect way to set the tone for the rest of the episodes that we watched. Anyway, moving on, and we're going to try to get through this as fast as possible. These episodes can go on forever. So if there's one, fight in particular that you really enjoyed, we'll stop and we'll take some time there.
Okay.
Then we get into the Koichi Hirose episode.
Echoes. This is with if you go back to the characters. Tanami, Tamami. That guy was funny as shit. The later he was in it, he was making me laugh. At first, I was like, I hate this guy. But he made me laugh a couple times after he was quote unquote redeemed.
He ended up being super, super funny.
Yeah.
And this whole concept too, again, people in this town who are just scumbags who are using this for their own personal gain. And he is just a small time crook who is like guilting people into like giving them things, and this whole lock stand ability that manifests itself and grows stronger with the more guilt someone's feeling. Was really fun, and it gave Koichi an opportunity and a chance to showcase Echoes and to even show what it did a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a slime ball that ended up kind of turning around once Koichi, and we do get to see Koichi's resilience in this.
Yeah.
And how he is willing to push himself to really get stronger, and how he wants to get stronger, and he does. And then Tamami, I guess is his name, comes around and ends up becoming like a lap dog for Koichi.
Yeah,
and that's when it gets funny.
Yeah, the funniest part was just he was the lengths he was willing to go to get that guilt. He like stabs himself so his mom and his sister walk in and see that her son was a killer. And she's like, "Oh, I have to unalive myself now because my son is a killer." I was like, "Damn, this is crazy." But yeah, he ends up being like I'll get you anything you want, and he's only in a couple more episodes, maybe like 1, and he was just making me laugh. He was really funny.
Yeah, he was so funny.
Yeah.
He was so funny. And again, I really enjoyed the stand users that like stayed alive and like were just left to be roaming the town.
Mm-hmm.
How they all bounce off each other, their relationships, their dynamics with other characters. Like, it was really funny, and it's just like you're getting to meet more of this town's residents, and it's just I don't know. It was a lot of fun. This guy was a lot of fun. Moving on, we get to this is the episode 7. This is when we see, who is this? Toshikazu
This
Hazamada.
is the doll, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This was a pretty cool episode too.
Yeah.
I really did like this stand user. He's kind of a punk, but he comes back and
everyone's redeemed again.
Yeah,
like it's just like it's some like One Piece villain stuff. Like you see them again and you're like, I hate you, but like you're cool too. It's like Lucci. Like I like Lucci, but I hated him.
Right.
It's that type of feeling where it's like you were once my foe, but like now we're just like okay, I guess.
Right.
And I like you. But yeah, this was a really cool fight. Again, Koichi just standing up a little bit and using his abilities like to, take. I think what did he write his ability? Oh yeah, to for the knock for his eye.
Mm-hmm.
What was the sound? It was like a squish sound. And he thought that he
was
took
so
out
smart.
Josuke's eye, but he didn't take it out at all. It was just like the sound of a squish that he heard, and Koichi's power, stand used it. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Again, this was so cool because even though the way this episode or this episode and stand user set up, it's like this guy in his room, and
he's
he
like
just
obsessed with like an idol or like
and he just takes a pen and he just like gouges his eye
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
How do you do that?
Yeah. And then,
Koichi got wrecked. He
Yeah.
got wrecked. That was crazy.
but again, it's so cool. Like even in that moment where you were saying Koichi
Mhm.
used echoes to make him feel like he heard the squish of the eye. But even in that moment when like Koichi is getting wrecked and thrown back, Josuke used this crazy diamond in like a minute to like heal him a little bit. So I don't know. It's just the
layers.
teamwork
The
too
layers.
is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Because we also
Without even saying anything, just doing it.
we also do get the, I guess follow up payoff that, which I guess is a little weird. I mean, I'm not gonna nitpick it for too long. I mean, because it's not that big of a deal. But we do get to see that some other carryover from part 3 is that Jojo is still able to use the world and like does use the world
Yeah.
a lot more. But I guess he hasn't been able to like use it more. Like he hasn't been able to extend the amount of time.
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
been a couple of years, bro.
And he did like even Dio was like, yeah, with time and how he was able to learn it so fast, like, maybe he can extend it this amount of seconds now. But I do feel like for whatever reason, Jotaro is still like, I can only do it for like a second.
A second, yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just that's just a
He's just been taking a
interesting.
break from that, I think.
Yeah, he's like, I don't really need this.
I don't need this until it's time again.
But yeah, this stand battle with Toshikazu Hazamada was fun, and then to see him come back was fun, and then he gets the shit beat out of him by these bikers. It was really fun. This is when we get Yukaku Yamagisha.
Yeah, Yamagishi.
Yamagishi falls in love. Part 1 and part 2.
This is really crazy, interesting because I didn't really know. I was like looking into it, and like she is one of the not first for sure, but she is one of the first like yandere like tropes that have been in manga and anime.
Really?
Yes, because this came out in like the 90s, I think. People like they said that like, Araki like took it from like different shoujo and like definitely not the first, but like one of the first to use this type of mix of like like yandere like trope.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I was like,
crazy.
oh, okay, that's cool. Because, who doesn't love a good yandere? Like, come on. I'm a future diary head.
Yeah.
What else? Who else? There's a lot that I'm not thinking of right now, but I like them.
And apparently she comes back in some way. We haven't gotten there quite yet. But I did, like her. This was very fucking crazy.
She's just like ridiculous, Scary.
Yeah, scary, dude. And again, this is where I loved Okuyasu because he's like, he's so jealous when he sees Koichi talking to this girl, and then he sees her be crazy, and he's like, every ounce of jealousy that I had is like just gone now. I forgot how he said it, but it was so funny. We just see Koichi be in this situation where he's with this like girl who's very attached to him. We do get the little bit of history that Stan users are attracted to each other, that they're just naturally drawn to each other.
That's what we find out by Yamagishi. He tells them like when he's in the hospital, he's all beaten up, and he's like, you are drawn to each other whether you like it or not. So they just think like maybe she's a potential Stan user, maybe that's why she's talking to Koichi. But she does genuinely like Koichi, and they try to like put dirt on his name. Okay,
that was
Josuke.
funny too.
Like I heard this guy just like steals from the elderly and copies people's homework and is like a delinquent, and she just takes that like as like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna dump him, I'm just going to change him because I can change him for the better. She like kidnaps him and buy a house near the sea. And it's just like, oh, no one's coming here till like summer, so we're good for months.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
What?
Kidnaps him and like forces him to like eat this like basically like horrible things, awful concoctions.
The ABC dinner.
Yeah.
ABC breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Where if you don't say the right answer, then you get.
And also, we talk about like some of these stand users being redeemed, but she was, okay. This is also like a part of it. I don't know, like. Obviously, we find out that like Okuyasu's brother was going around town and just shooting the arrow or shooting evil people with the arrow, for the most part, because they're evil people tend to have like stronger stands or something of that nature. But she was fucked up, dude. Like she thought some girl was flirting with Koichi, and she like set her whole head on fire.
Yeah. That was
and like
crazy.
she would have burned alive if Okuyasu and Josuke didn't come in to save the day. Like. Yeah. Sure, she might have been redeemed a little bit, but she was fucking lighting people on fire.
Yeah, yandere activity. Yeah.
I mean, that's serial killer activity.
And she was that's that by definition.
Crazy
She's
shit.
like, you were flirting with my man. She's like, I don't even like your man. And she goes,
Yeah.
oh, you don't like my man? It's like, you were mad at me for liking your man, but
Yeah.
now you're mad at me for
Yeah,
not liking
right.
your man, you know?
Right.
It's that type of situation. Light on fire. Boom.
But this was a cool fight because we do get to see like reverb, not reverb, sorry, that's what they call him in the dub. Don't come at me. Echoes. Echoes. I forget how they phrase it, but it's like his second form.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Act 2, I guess.
Yeah.
And dude, again, Echoes is so fucking cool. I mean,
Yeah.
Koichi, say what you will about him, whether you like him, whether you hate him, but Echoes is such a fucking awesome stand ability to not only allow people to hear things, but now if they touch this thing, then it, like if it says like whoosh and they touch it, then they're gonna experience a whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Araki come up with this shit? I mean, this is so fucking cool, and just that Koichi has to kind of how he has to be tactical and think about.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a stand that involves like a lot of strength. It is a stand that involves a lot of strategy, and I think like outsmarting your opponent. Man, this was so fucking cool. I'm also a sucker for seeing
Evolution.
this like. Yeah, it's like a little evolution. He's a little,
I like his first one though. It's so cute. It's like a little chameleon.
And he kind of like goes back and forth.
Yeah.
I feel like. But the little chameleon one is kind of cute.
He's
the little like lizard one with
yeah,
the
I like the little lizard one. But yeah,
And-
it just keeps going back and forth. I mean, like he's just telling her like, I don't like you. I want to leave. I don't care about you. And she's like, that's not true. I know you care about me. And then she finds out that he does have a stand. She's like, oh, we're even better for each other than I thought. And he's like, no, I hate you. And that scene was crazy too, where he finds out that like she doesn't even like his ability doesn't even work on her. Because she's like not hearing it.
Right.
Because he's like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
Well, yeah. She's so her
Delusional.
perception of reality is so warped. She's like not. It's not working. But this ultimately results in we get to see Echoes Act 2 and the climax of the cliff, her falling off the cliff, and him using boing on the side, putting boing on the spike that allows the rock to change from being sharp to being like bouncy, and it's just crazy because she kind of comes around in that last moment. She's like, "Why did you save me?" and yada yada yada, and this is so that she can. I'm sure because again, she's in the second OP, I think.
Yeah. So
that she can kind of come back and play her own part in the team, which is gonna be interesting.
We've seen like a glimpse of her here and there, but nothing other than that.
Right. Really fun episodes. This was a Koichi special.
Yeah.
Josuke and Okuyasu are kind of trying their best to get there, but it gives us some more time to spend with Koichi, and it was fun. These were good episodes. I would like to do what we did in part 3 too, and at the end of all these, like kind of go through and ask you what your favorite.
So that was 8 and 9, and this one, woo, 10.
Did you like 10? 10 was kind of
10 was
like
fun.
Weird.
10 was so fun because it just kept making me laugh because it was just like you thought something was happening and it wasn't happening at all.
Yeah.
And it kept the fact that it was happening to Okuyasu, like I'm sure if it was happening to Josuke, he would have been like way more alert about what was happening. And Okuyasu's just like dying, and then he's like, actually, no, I feel amazing. I feel awesome. And he's just like, bro, then stop eating. Like if you feel this way every time you eat this thing, don't eat it.
Bro, it was so funny because it was the same kind of gag over and over and over, but you really did think something sinister was at play. You thought
the whole time
this guy has ulterior motives, and you realize at the end, like, I'm just using my stand to like help people. And
it's violent, though. I mean, it's violent how we help you, but it has to be done.
And he was like one of the first stand users that wasn't he wasn't from that town. He was from Italy. Yeah, Italy, I think. And I almost think too that he wasn't hit by the arrow, or maybe he was, but just not in that town. But it was also just cool to see that, like, there was a bunch of people who were in this town who were hit by this arrow who became stand users, but then there were also other people who just either had stands or, their stands awakened in different places and they just happened to be in that town. I thought that was cool too.
Yeah, that was cool.
But you liked this episode. Yeah,
I really did. It was really fun. Just, the reveal of like, I just like cooking. And
yeah.
Again, it's going to make you feel bad, but you're going to feel so much better after.
Yeah.
And he just has like this He just has this storefront, and they even say like later on, like, oh yeah, I can save this money to go to Antonio's or whatever his name is. Like, he's gonna go back and get cured, I guess.
I'm interested to see if he comes back in. I mean, it was a fun episode. It did kind of feel a little bit like a filler episode, but not in a bad way. Like, it was fun, but I do wonder if it's going to come back into play at a certain point.
For sure.
Then we get into episode 11 and 12, which is Red Hot Chili Pepper Part 1 and Part 2. The whole time, Chili Pepper has been kind of coming in and out. He stole the bow and arrow, so now he's the guy that they're kind of after. And this is also when we learn from Jotaro that somebody is coming to Morio.
Oh, yeah.
And this was pretty crazy, too. I mean, I did not expect Joseph to come back and have to kind of face Josuke. I don't know why I didn't expect that, but this was shocking.
Again, I saw him in the...
Did you really? Oh, damn.
Yeah, I knew he had to come back at some point, maybe to meet with Jotaro, but not maybe exactly like you said. But I was kind of expecting there to be some type of meeting, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know why. I just didn't expect it, but we get an even older Joseph who's coming and being escorted there by the Speedwagon Foundation to use Hermit Purple to help them find Chili Pepper. And Josuke kind of has to deal with this a little bit, which is pretty crazy. But, you know, this is all leading up to their fight. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, this was... how it, I think, first began was them sort of meeting all at this like remote location, like away from everything, so that Chili Pepper couldn't get them. He sneaks into like the car battery. There's this whole moment.
The motorcycle battery, yeah.
Oh, motorcycle battery, yeah. And there's this whole moment with Okuyasu and how he kind of barges in. And he is kind of very much like a Polnareff.
Okuyasu, yeah, because, I mean, he is, you know.
He's his brother's killer.
Yeah. So he's trying to get him. And even Chili Pepper is just like, you know, telling him, giving him like a little bluff situation of like, if they come any closer, I'm going to kill them all. And he kind of falls for it, I guess, and goes head first with this guy. But everything's fine because it was, you know, Crazy Diamond was able to
But the way that it's done was so cool because, you know, everybody's freaking out. Well, not everybody. Actually, Koichi's the only one freaking out because Okuyasu gets taken through the cables. And
he's dead.
Yeah, and Jotaro and Josuke are just chilling right there. And they're like, how can you guys be so fucking cool? And he's like, we have his arm. And then he uses Crazy Diamond and it like pulls Okuyasu back. Like, just the more creative ways that Crazy Diamond is able to like use this ability is, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was really cool to see.
Yeah. And also, I mean, and again, like they go to the port and we finally get to see Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Like the human
stand user. So funny. Just this rock star type of dude. And he was one of the most like entertaining, I think, stand users that we've come across so far. Because that whole scene where he does a little freaking solo, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And even all of them are like, that was actually really cool.
Yeah.
If you weren't evil, you could be cool, you know?
And again, I like the teamwork here. I like that it's showing you. This is where we get some Josuke and Koichi team up, where it looks like Josuke is just sort of hitting the ground recklessly.
Yeah,
but it's to expose. But he's converting. This is what I'm saying. Like, it's so cool because he's reverting the concrete or the asphalt back to tar, so that like Koichi can like see when Chili Pepper comes up. And I don't know, it's just the teamwork, the plans, the execution of those plans, the battles are just really, really, really fucking good. This was a really, really, really cool fight and a really cool moment. And Okuyasu and Jotaro are on the way to the ship to protect Joseph, who is like senile and who's not all. He's like, "Where's my cane?" But this was really cool, and the whole time, like at the end, like I think Josuke at the end of this fight, after he defeats Chili Pepper, which Chili Pepper then like boards the ship or whatever, he's like dealing with like, damn, like this is my dad. Like, who is, you know, this?
Yeah, that's my dad and like blood, but like I'm not gonna call him dad. Like, he doesn't deserve to be called that by me because he wasn't like my dad. Like, he was just kind of feeling weird about it. And Koichi's just there, like, I don't know, just be okay. like, just do it. And I'm like, Koichi, like, this is a very serious situation. Like,
Yeah.
you can't relate. Like, you can't tell him how to feel in this moment. You just gotta
Yeah,
let him be.
let him process everything.
Yeah, no, for real. You're like, but I'm like, Koichi, just chill.
Yeah.
Damn.
Really fun episode. It's sort of the end of Chili Pepper after all of this. And he was formidable, and he was popping in and out for a while. Again, I never really felt like he was the big bad. At this point, I felt like I started to get in the rhythm of what this part was, and I was like, okay, well, he's the one with the arrow right now, but he's not. He even had said, Chili Pepper was like, I'm not even that like strong. I'm trying to get stronger. I'm trying to, and he would test his strength against Josuke and this and that. But he never gave me the vibe of like big bad. He was just the bad that they had to get through to keep moving forward. But not to say that he wasn't fun and that his fights weren't like pretty entertaining, and he himself wasn't entertaining. But that's where Josuke and Joseph finally meet, and we get that moment with them and the blushing and him having to help and the cane.
Yeah.
And like, it was so sweet. And that's when you were yelling again at Koichi and being like, just because he was like, should we tell him that the cane is right here? They're like, no, just let him.
You idiot.
Just let him have this fucking moment.
No,
dude.
that wasn't Koichi. That was
Oh, was it Okuyasu?
Yeah, Okuyasu. And Koichi's like, shut up. I was like,
let him have this moment.
Yeah.
But it was very sweet, dude. It was very sweet. Yeah, it really got me.
aw.
We get to episode 13, which is we picked up something crazy. And this was one of my favorite episodes. I don't know why, but this was emotionally, this delivered on the the Josuke and Joseph relationship.
Oh, yeah. This was their episode for sure.
This was their episode. They got up to some hijinks. They found an invisible baby. Which is amazing.
Yeah, it was so hilarious. Because at first, like Josuke is just writing him off as just like the senile old man, obviously. Like he's there sometimes and he's not there other times. So he's just like, there's a stand user. Like we finally get the Joseph screaming.
Yeah.
And Josuke's just like, yeah, old man, sure. Right. And at this point, in any iteration of JoJo I've seen, and they're always surprised that it's a stand. Or anything else. Like, just believe immediately when you say it, because then you guys set yourself up for failure. You should always be on your toes. Oh, you see a stand user? I'm going to believe you because there are stand users around. Yeah.
Right.
No, you're crazy. Are you kidding me? Like, it happens every time. And I'm just like, you guys, come on.
I mean, this might be one of, not my favorite, but one of my favorite episodes. Like,
because it was just like sweet. Like it was definitely like the stakes were high because you could become invisible and you didn't know if this baby was going to get harmed or not. And actually the stakes were very high because fucking Joseph.
Yeah. Joseph did some fucking baller shit.
Oh my god, yeah, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, this was just like fun, and again, it's like putting makeup on a baby and getting all the stuff to take care of the baby, and
it opens with that, and then the finding the invisible baby, like the invisible poop. So it's like funny as hell. Then their limbs are becoming invisible. They have to go into this shop. Joseph has to go into this shop and like buy like baby supplies, which is hilarious. And he's like, bleeding Josuke's bank account. Then more hijinks happen, and Joseph to save the baby who fell in the freaking water slits his own wrist, willing and ready and fully accepting death.
ready, no hesitation. Maybe think of something else. Like no, I literally immediately I'm gonna slit my wrist so you can see the blood. You can see the blood going through the water so you could find the baby.
And this is what I love about this part, is as many times as Crazy Diamond has undone something or brought someone back or helped with it, with there being still limitations set in place, that it's not a be-all, end-all, it's not a fix everything sort of thing. It's incredible and amazing that it still surprises me. I really thought, is this how Joseph goes out? I really thought that.
I thought so too. I was like, this is insane. Just the act of seeing him do that, I was like, good God.
Yeah, and this is where Josuke realizes that who Joseph is, despite being this father who was kind of not there. He wasn't there because he didn't know, and Joseph expresses that, I think, either in this episode or the episode before. It might be in this episode even, where he expresses like, I didn't know I had a kid. Like, I didn't know. I had an affair, and I'm sure he feels very bad about that. but I feel like he would have been there if he would have known.
And honestly, I mean, he would have if he would have known sooner, it probably would have been better for the whole family.
Sure,
because being told that that late in life, pretty crazy. They could have dealt with it by now. You know what I mean?
Right.
A little bit. They would have been like, oh, it sucks, but now we have this physical representation of a person. You know, we just have to, this is our family.
Yeah.
You know, not I can't even believe this is not true. But yeah, that was touching. And it just Josuke just sees this old ass man and he has somewhat of an idea of what he did in Egypt and all the things they went through. He just sees this old man who's confused and not this self-sacrificing legend, you know?
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy. My dad's pretty cool.
This was an amazing episode, and it's titled "We Picked Up Something Crazy," and it was about an invisible baby, but it was my favorite. It was the most emotionally satisfying and touching episode. Moving on, though, then we get into Let's Go to the Manga Artist House, Part 1.
Wild.
And Part 2.
Wild.
This is when we meet, of course, Rohan.
Fan favorite.
Kishibe, fan favorite.
Everyone loves this man.
I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm not 100% sold on this guy yet.
I think it might be the VA.
Well, it's whether you want to do dub or sub,
you should be sold.
No, I mean the VA. You're fucked either way. The VA.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
The VA, this guy can't catch a break. This character can't catch a break.
I forgot about that.
The dub actor for Rohan Kishibe, which you can separate it, sure, but the dub actor did arguably way more sinister things that just haven't been, I guess, proved necessarily, or haven't been
to an extent.
Sure, haven't
it's
been
proved to him. I don't know. He just hasn't backed down from the allegations, but everyone is but the judge said. Yeah,
I tried to sue him for defamation and then lost that case. So it's bro, I mean, and then even to sue them, bro, you sued them. Because you were they defamed me because the dub actor got accused of misconduct towards
sexual
assault towards his female
multiple people, two people.
Well, no,
or maybe more.
One person, and then two other people spoke out.
Yeah, so it's
okay. They went to court for that
because he claims that they were against him, they never liked him.
But they were separate people. The first person accused him of it, and then other people spoke out. And then he's you guys are freaking whatever it is.
Defamation, yeah.
You guys are defaming me. I'm going to sue you. And then he took everything to court, and it's you lost. And so it's that's a little sus, dude. So he's sus, and he's fucked, and he's not a good person. And then you look at the sub, the original Japanese VA, who is arguably a way less of an offense, just did a fucked up thing, or made a mistake that wasn't
a 10-year mistake.
But yeah, he was having a 10-year affair with this girl and lying to her about being married. She didn't know that he was married.
Yeah, and he was married. You know?
He was married.
Both of the women got.
His wife didn't know he was having an affair, and this girl didn't even know he was married and had been married. He was married to her, his wife, for 20 years and was having an affair for 10 years.
It's why even be married,
I mean, cake and eat it too, I guess.
Cake
Damn.
and eat it too. But okay, so let's go to the manga artist.
But anyway, I'm just saying it's crazy because this character is fun. I mean,
I guess that's why you got to read him.
He's cursed.
You got to read him.
Yeah, you got to read him.
Yeah.
Poor, Rohan Kishibe, dude.
Yeah.
And Iraqi. This character is a cursed character. Whoever steps in to do his voice is hopefully they end up being a good person. Anyway. The character himself. He's cool, man. I mean, his standability is fine, but again, expectations are a bitch. And I hate that I went into this knowing that this character was a fan favorite and then he gets a spinoff. He's a cool character, but I think that I like Okuyasu more.
Yeah,
I like Josuke more.
He's funny because of, again, how much of a, not a nerd, I would say, not a nerd. How do I say it? Just very enveloped in his work. He really doesn't really care about what else is going on. He just wants to get a good story for his manga. That's the only thing that's the only reason why he's entertaining anything at all. He's just very one note, one road. and he's just a simple guy, and he just likes making manga, and that's all he likes to do.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so funny in this world of like everything being intertwined and everyone having a motive and everyone trying to save the day. This guy's just like, I'm just trying to get a good story for the good old manga gita.
Sure. His ability is crazy, and when you really think about the implications of what his stand is capable of, it's pretty scary. Heaven's Door, which looks like a Momoto, by the way.
It does. It does. We didn't get to see him until we got the Ghost Dog episode.
The Ghost Girl and Ghost Dog.
Ghost Girl, Ghost Dog. But before even, he does like a Momoto for sure, kid. But again, we get to see these like evolutions when he even says like, oh yeah, I've been like practicing using Heaven's Door, and now he looks like this, which is cool.
And I do love the design of Heaven's Door. Heaven's Door looks fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, and just like they have the ability, like, oh, I can read your whole life. Like that's so wild.
I can read
and
your whole life and rewrite it. That is like the implications of this man's power are is so terrifying. And I really actually think like despite Rohan Kishibe as a character who I haven't completely like maybe latched onto as much as other people have, like I do like him and I love Heaven's Door and I love his stand and his stand's ability. Him as a character, there are other characters I like more, but these 2 episodes, especially the second episode where Okuyasu and Josuke come in, were that was like maybe another top 3 favorite episodes. Like
he's so his ability is so awesome, and I love the fact, like I said, he's just like one note, like one track mind with manga that like if he were to be able or if he were to like switch sides, like that'd be rough because he just one touch and he can just be like, you cannot harm me.
Well, we saw it with Koichi when he's literally freaking
and Okuyasu.
out. Well, freaking out in the house like, oh my god, I gotta tell them. And then opens the door and he's like, bye guys, I'll see you at school. Whatever. And then he like comes back and he's like, what the fuck? What
did I just do? Like he could just no memory. Like
because he could just rewrite someone's history. And the fact that they open up like a book is some Junji Ito level fucking horror shit.
Yeah.
Like it is disgusting to see someone's peeled back face, but they're just like pages.
And their history.
Oh my god.
He's just reading it and
stand ability is like one of the coolest.
And I'm sure, we've only seen 2 episodes of him. We've been with everyone for longer.
He's probably gonna grow on me.
For sure. He's gonna come in the mix.
Yeah. This the first episode with him and I always forget his name, the guy with the Hazamada.
Yeah.
Dude, this was seeing them together, like be fans of this mangaka and go to his house and everything was so funny.
Yeah, like fangirl, like nerd out together.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Pink Dark Boy. It's my favorite series.
And then he's like a little off, Rohan, because she was a little off, like killing and cutting open spiders and shit.
Yeah. He's an artist.
But then, he's an artist. They're eccentric.
They are. That's definitely the vibe I get.
Right. With
this character. He's just like, I'm eccentric because I'm an artist and I'm a mangaka and I'm, I don't think better than anyone. I just want to write my stories and I want to show I just want to show the world my stories. I don't want fame. I don't want fortune. He's very much that.
Which I do like him for that. Being a little eccentric, I guess. But
that's what I'm saying. He's very meta.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
Rocky.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
No, Rocky's so sweet.
It's really episode 2 or part 2. Let's go to the manga artist house. That really gets me when. Koichi's realizing that he's like lighter and he goes back and he's like stuck. And there's that like moment where he's trying to scream for help, but then can't because it's written into his like in the pages of his own story.
Backlog. Backlog. Literally on his back.
But then Okuyasu comes in.
Yeah.
And
I was like, let's go. And I was like, immediately.
And then you really realize how, again, formidable this guy is. He can't, like, Okuyasu said, we can't do anything. He said he writes. Kishibe writes that
because if you look at his pages, like you're done.
If you look at his manga pages, you're done.
Yeah, you have to open your eyes and see them, and then you're done.
And it can make you do anything. He says like because he's trying to lure Josuke out, and he says like the moment Josuke like reveals himself, whatever, like Okuyasu is going to set himself on fire.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, dude, how? And they are like, how are we gonna beat this guy? This guy's like crazy.
Yeah.
But it's a very funny payoff, and I loved the payoff because he looks into, I think, Koichi or Okuyasu's pages and realizes that the one thing that would get Josuke the most upset is to comment on his hair, but doesn't realize he wants to make him angry,
Mm.
but doesn't realize it's going to send him into a blind rage.
Yeah.
So that he can't even see the pages as they're being shown to him. And there was an awesome moment where he like,
can't
punches
see?
through the manga panel. Yeah, it was so funny.
I'm like, damn. I need Rohan to. I need to look at Rohan's pages. Rohan needs to take pages from me so I can lose weight. Use 20 pounds.
Oh,
so
that's
20
a good,
pounds
that's a good
lighter.
method. Yeah, that's
Take
a good method.
page out of Rohan's book.
Yeah, it's a good method. Take a page out of his book.
Take a page out of his book, manga. Manga Tita.
I like your
But
commitment to it.
I would. Coach is like, how did I lose 20 pounds? I'd be like, this is lit.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
wouldn't
like,
question it.
I
I'd be like, this is fucking
I'd be like,
awesome.
oh no. I'd be like, I'm not gonna even look into this.
Yeah,
really.
I don't even
No.
want to know.
I don't even want to know. Tapeworm, whatever.
Sure, I hope.
I hope. One can only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the tail end of this episode. First of all, this whole episode is amazing. This
Second part, yeah.
second part of this Kishibe episode is amazing. But it's the end of this episode when they're talking about Josuke. Koichi's talking about Josuke's like backstory and reason for his hairstyle being the way it is and why he's so upset.
What?
Basically explains that when Josuke was 4 years old and the Dio stuff was happening, that he got really sick. His mom thought he was had some sort of disease, whatever, was trying to take him to the hospital.
Fever, yeah.
They got stuck in the snow, and this mysterious figure that looks exactly like Josuke shows up and saves them. So I don't know. Okay, One Piece brain, I don't know. But we're talking about this stand user who's able to... So Jotaro's awakened, I guess, sort of ability was the world, right? Like Star Platinum was capable of its own thing, but then realized as it got stronger that it was capable of freezing time. Josuke, his ability is like he can like destroy things and then basically repair them. And he even does that with like lottery tickets later. He repairs them, reverts them back to their original state. If there was a way to like somehow send himself back in time, like
I mean, it's not too far-fetched for sure. The only reason why I would say like maybe not, I mean, he did look exactly like him, but again, like school uniforms are usually the same and kind of timeless depending on the school.
Sure.
And that hairstyle was really prevalent. They say like, what is your hairstyle in the 80s? Because like that pompadour
Right.
look was like definitely Japan 80s like delinquent type of style, or just like a really popular hairstyle. So maybe that's why he's like, I saw this guy's hairstyle. It was in the 80s. Now we're in the 90s, but like I don't give a fuck. I think it's cool. Like
yeah.
it
I
could
don't
just be
know.
that, but it could be
just be
something
that.
crazier. Your One Piece brain is.
I know.
But it was very startling. I was like, "What? Why would he choose?"
Bro,
to
I was
make
like,
him,
this is fucking lit,
like
dude.
put him in like a tank top, and the way he like didn't say anything.
He didn't say anything.
The way that he was like mysterious,
And his face was, like,
his
covered
face
in
was
shadow.
covered in shadow, like really interesting.
And the way
we'll
he was-
see.
I mean, sure, you can have that hairstyle and wear that uniform, but the way even his body language was, and there were so many things that like
Body
lead me
language.
to believe, like just as like the way he was standing
Just kidding.
looks so much like Josuke. I was like, this is Josuke. He figured out somehow something happens down the road where he's able to time travel to
If he
this
didn't
moment.
like do that, he would have died or something.
Yeah. And I don't know how or why, but this is the bit of information. This is the mystery that I care the most about. Like,
If
what
there
the
is
fuck?
one.
If there is one, and if there's not, fine. But I really, I want there to be so bad. I'm hoping that there's a cool payoff. If there's not, I'll be fine. But I really am
fine.
hoping for it.
This one was wild as well.
Let's go hunting.
Bro. Like it was classic Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, let's go hunting was kind of weird. It ended up being this like environmentalist sort of message at the very end. Like Jotaro delivered this like super out of like left field line, like just the most unnatural line ever.
What did he say?
He's like, I guess this is what happens.
Intrusive species or something like
no,
that.
he's like, I guess this is what happens, or this is the rat trying to teach us a lesson about like humanity destroying the environment or something.
yeah, like extremely just like this is a statement that I'm saying.
But it felt like an after school special. I was like, what the hell is this, dude? I felt like Jotaro was looking to the camera to tell me that I shouldn't litter or something.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, like
which you
rats
shouldn't litter,
exist. No, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't, but
like
still,
rats
I mean,
exist, like
yeah.
okay. and people kill rats for being in their house. So it is. What
Yeah,
it
it was
is.
just a very because the whole episode was fun.
Yeah, and then it was
Animal gets a stand. Okay,
right at the very end. Yeah, animal gets a stand with something we've seen before.
Right, I'm having fun.
We're having
I'm into
fun.
it.
We're having fun. There's 2, not one.
Oh, big
What a big
twist,
twist. The ball bearings,
Right, cool.
cool, fun, and then just at the end, just that kicker of like, I guess we were the rodents all along.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
what do you?
I was like, Jojo, you've never said shit like this before. And it was just so weird. Like, it changed the whole episode for me.
I
Like,
wish we could play it on the episode.
I guess
I
this
wish-
is what happens if humans keep destroying the environment. I was like, where is this coming
I really
from?
want to hear it now because it was like I remember we were just like, what? Like, what a weird.
We both were like, huh? Like, it took us out. Like, it took us so out.
Oh my gosh! I wish I could hear it right now. But anyway, yeah, this is the
Oh, and the fact that, like, Jotaro is so wild. And it's probably in the manga, too. I didn't check before, but, like, Jotaro is, like, dead set on naming this rat, too. And, like, they could have just kept calling it, like, the rat, this stand user, whatever. But he's dead set on naming it. And he's like, he names it Bug Eaten because it, like, there was a reason. But he's like Bug Eaten. And it's just like this. It just felt like when someone's trying to get something to stick, like, the fetch moment from Mean Girls. Like,
yeah.
stop trying to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
But Jotaro kept forcing it in, like,
He's like, well, his name's Rat, but we need to name his stand. I'm like, okay.
Bug Eaten.
Bug Eaten?
It's like, we just decided on this. You just pulled this out of your ass like 2 minutes ago. We're just going with it. Let's call him Bug Eaten. It's like when someone like looks around and like just like names something based on like
my name
random
is
objects.
Bug.
Eaten.
Yeah. My name is
and then commits to it
Mehgan
so fully.
Light Camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he commits to it. And like, I don't know, the fact that he's so stoic and so stone-faced the whole time made it funnier. Like, I don't know.
It was hilarious.
Just a weird episode, but it was funny.
Was fun. It was funny.
It's campy.
It was
for sure.
It was Tom and Jerry. Like they were trying to get. It was like Rat Trap. They're trying to get the rat.
Yeah.
Mouse Trap. I mean, yeah.
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 Moving on, we got about 3 more episodes to cover.
This one might have been one of my favorites.
Really, this is Rohan Kashibe's adventure.
This is the one with my girl Rimi Sugimoto.
Right, Ghost Girl.
I mean, come on! Like we're just throwing paranormal shit now.
Love it.
Like, come
Love
on
it.
now. Like this is what I love for. This is what I love for.
This is what I
live
live
for. I was just so excited. This was so yeah, just Scooby Doo type. I mean,
Right.
Scooby Doo. They end up like, oh, it's
It's a
never.
person in a mask.
Yeah, it's never what you think. It's until Ghoul School when they realize like, oh, monsters do exist.
Right.
That was a great movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And also the other movies kind of debunk the whole series because
There's no I mean, it's all over the
it's
place.
like, well, there's monsters in
The
the
lore
movies,
of-
but there's no monsters in the show.
Depends on
Monsters
the
aren't real in the
series.
show. Okay, anyway.
There's no
And
continuity
in the movie, in the
Scooby-Doo.
live action too. There's
No, I know. There's no continuity.
yeah, I guess not. But yeah, this is really fun. This is really cool. I did enjoy this one.
It was fun. I mean, we get to see Koichi and Rohan. Rohan make an appearance again, and he's kind of befriended Koichi, and they're kind of on this little adventure through town. It starts taking them down this road that doesn't exist or appear on any maps, twists and turns. They find a girl who tells them a story about how her and her dog, or a girl and her dog were slaughtered. It ends up
Turns out being her.
her. She's a ghost.
She's a ghost girl, and she's just like asking them if she can like, classic ghost activity,
Like
can you-
avenge her.
like avenge her, also avenge her. But this is still going on. Like this guy's still killing to this day.
Well, the hands that have been a part of this show from episode 1, like one of the
Yes.
first shots we get to see is like a severed hand. Like this is apparently the guy who's doing it and who's been doing it.
Yes.
And we even get to see him later too. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. He's interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta hand it to him.
and not to keep that was good. That was
Thank
good.
you
That was good. That was good.
for acknowledging my hand pun.
It was good. Not to keep going back to the interview, but Iraqi also said that around this time in Japan, one of the most terrifying things was the fact that you could be living next to a serial killer. Like serial killers and serial murders had been something that had like started to really like
Take the spotlight.
you take the spotlight and like was inciting a lot of fear in people in Japan at the time. So serial killers are like a big part of part 4, especially with our first.
I mean, yeah, we've seen 2 of them thus far.
Yeah. But this guy definitely seems like a bigger threat, but we haven't seen, I mean, we assume that he has a stand or something, but we haven't seen any of that yet. And he is the person that is supposedly, or we're led to believe, is behind these severed hands. And what that meaning is
behind the severed hands, and his name is Kira.
Right.
So it's like Death Note.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But this was before Death Note.
Yeah, that was before Death Note. But yeah, she's pretty much just asking for their help because, there's like a lot of people going missing, like kids going missing, and they agree. They end up agreeing because Rohan's like, this will be a good manga story. And then they get that crazy moment where they're like, it's like, I love that. I've seen that before. Is it depicted in like Greek mythology or something where you can't look back?
Oh yeah, something like that. I mean,
right?
It's been, yeah, I've heard that before or seen that before.
Yeah, I think it's a story. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they can leave, but they can't look back. And if they look back, then they'll be dragged to hell or like dragged to the afterlife or whatever, and they'll die. And it's trying to trick them, and you could just feel something on your back, and it'd be so hard for me.
Kashira used
I would have to, like hold my head and like.
Yeah. Kashira used like his stand's ability to like remove Koichi's sight at the last minute.
Yeah.
And that was like really cool.
Yeah, and they look back and she's like still there, but the corner is like closed up and it doesn't even exist. It was very spooky, fun, and interesting to see what they're gonna do to be able to avenge her.
And they run into this guy too. Like they bump into his car or something, and then we get to see him take a severed hand home.
Oh, and also I like the tie-in too with Rohan, and he ended up like being family friends with this girl.
Yeah, he was there. He kind of like blocked it out or something.
When he was like 4 or whatever. Or 5.
Because his stand has limitations too. He can't like read his own history or rewrite his own whatever.
Yeah. So he was like, that's why she was so familiar to me. And he survived.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was really crazy.
I was like, okay, little tie-in.
That was
and now that
beautiful.
gives him more of a reason to do it, and not just like, this is a good manga story. He's like, oh, I want to do this because this is my friend.
Yeah, that was a really good episode.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the end, episodes 18 and 19, called Shingekis, I think.
Shingechis. Shingechi. Yeah, Shingechi.
Sorry.
Shingechi's Harvest.
We just can't pronounce things for the life of us over here.
This was wild. This guy took a turn, but they were pretty fun episodes.
It was a fun episode, about 2 episodes about winning the lottery. Or this guy in his stand Harvest. These were fun episodes.
Yeah.
These were fun episodes. He was like a loner, sort of like.
Well, you thought,
kid.
at first, for sure.
At first, and then he takes a turn. They come up with this brilliant plan, which is brilliant, to like find discarded coupons or lottery tickets or whatever, and win some money. It was hijinks at its best. But it was a really cool way of showing how even the most non-threatening on the surface stand can be used and can become formidable and can be turned against them like that. This guy was a fucking scumbag. And I really fucking hated this guy.
I did too.
But, the payoff, again, the second part was really, really fun at the very end when they're having to fight him. And he Harvest injects alcohol into their veins. It was,
and they're all messed up.
Yeah.
And he keeps just saying like, we're gonna split it like 3, all evenly. We're gonna split it, between the 3 of us. And then when it would come down to it, he'd be like, oh, I'm getting all the money because my stand used my abilities to get this. And they're like, that's not how it should be.
Right.
And it just keeps going and going and going until they're like actually fighting with him. And then he then he comes to his senses, I guess, and just like, you're right, we should.
Well, no, I mean, they really like what I loved about it is because they kind of turned it against him. And Josuke rips up the ticket, and he's like, the only way you can put this together is with Crazy Diamond. And it was a fun episode. Like, this guy was a piece of shit and obnoxious and annoying, and I hated seeing him like be a punk little fucking bitch boy and try to get weasel his way, out of giving Josuke and Okuyasu their cut. But it was so fulfilling, and that's what made it so rewarding when they finally do get the upper hand and teach him a lesson and whoop his ass. Because sometimes you just need to get your ass whooped.
No, you do, and he needed that. He needed that. He was too greedy.
Yeah,
way too greedy. But he still was greedy at the end. But you know, they're like, no, this is not gonna happen. But yeah, it was fun. I like how Harvest looks, these little like beetle type things.
Yeah,
that'd be so lit. That'd be so lit.
Oh yeah, dude.
His ability was like awesome.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. It might sound like or seem like a weird place to stop, but that's about halfway through. So that's where we left off at episode 19. The next episode that we record will cover the rest of the final half of part 4. Overall, this is an introduction and sort of a setup. I think things are really going to start picking up in this final half. But this first half was a lot of fun. We're getting the lay of the land of Morio, and we're meeting its inhabitants, and we're kind of, you know, we're getting to spend time with people, see dynamics and relationships form, and it was a blast, really, and completely different than part 3.
Completely different and more like, I mean, the stakes are high, but not as high right now, and it's just like fun watch.
Yes,
it's just so fun, and part 3 was fun in a different way. And it just felt more like intimidating, I guess, just because they had a clear goal. And right now everyone's just kind of finding out what stand users are and what they do, and it's just like you feel like you're living through them, and it's a lot of fun to watch. I see some characters on the list that I'm like excited to meet. Like,
me too.
What is that? Who is that?
Yeah. For me, I think like my favorite, like my highlight moments were definitely the Invisible Baby episode. 100% the second Kishibe episode, or both Kishibe episodes.
Yeah.
Where we learn about like Josuke's savior and who the mystery of who that is. The Ghost episode was a lot of fun as well. But I think also the Chili Pepper, just like getting to meet. Well, I guess that's Joseph getting to meet Josuke, or Josuke getting to meet Joseph, but that happens more, I guess, in the Invisible Baby episode. But I would say that the Invisible Baby episode and the Rohan Kishibe and the Nijimura brothers. So the Nijimura brother episodes, the Kishibe episodes where we get to learn about the mystery of Josuke's savior, and then the Invisible Baby. Those are top 3 for me. Mehgan, do you have like a quick top 3 that you can maybe rattle off?
I would say, I mean, definitely the Nijimura. Those 2 episodes were really, really fun. I also
3 episodes. That was 3.
Oh yeah, that was 3
episodes,
right?
Yeah.
3 episodes were really fun. I like the reveal in that. If you could go back to the.
Sorry, I just want to make sure. Yeah, it was 3. Okay,
3.
sorry.
If you scroll up a little bit, I just want to make sure I'm getting the names right. I like that episode. Obviously, Yukako, like, I really like those episodes too. She's just so crazy. And obviously I did like what's her name? Remy.
Yes,
Remy.
the ghost girl,
the ghost girl
dog.
one. And I did really liked the chef.
Yeah, you did. You really did like
Pearl
that
Jam.
one.
Yeah, I really did like it. He was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know? And you thought he's like feeding the puppy stuff to make him like explode, and like his guts, and like you puke
a lot
out
of
his
animal
guts.
abuse.
Yeah, I mean, that's Jojo.
Part 3 and part 4.
Yeah, that's Jojo. But yeah, he's just a good guy, and they're all coming to grow on me, and I was excited to meet more of them and spend more time with them, and yeah, I'm super stoked to keep going.
Yeah,
I would say, I mean, everything we said in the beginning too, just like with the diversity. For sure, with the episodes, I feel are way different. Each one kind of like moves to its own drum almost. There's no real linear. Like I said, like we know what's gonna happen. Stand battle, stand battle, stand battle. This one's a little like there could be a stand battle, or there could not be a stand battle.
Right.
You could just see the stand and what it does. And it could be good in the beginning and then bad in the next episode, so it is just like that variety, I think, is what's making me like have so much fun. It's not the same thing over and over again.
It's what I loved so much about part 3. Not every fight was a fight. I really enjoyed the first Darby brother
sort of
conflict with the gambling. that was a highlight for me. That was so much fun. And there wasn't really a battle. It was like a battle of wits and a battle of deception and bluffing. And that's where I had like some of the most fun. I mean, there were other great fights, but the creativity and the hijinks, I feel like, have been dialed up
For sure.
in part 4. And I love that it's, it's a little more grounded in the sense that it happens in a small town, not all over the world, and they're not going after this immortal vampire being. I like the mystery and the horror of this like small town life that seems safe and wholesome, but there's something lurking under the surface. I enjoy the creativity of the stands, and like you said, getting to see just everybody in the inhabitants of this town. Just kind of be introduced to all of them, and how we said in the beginning of the episode, they're not all inherently like evil. They're just, some of them are just bad people who are selfish and doing bad things. And I like how some of them are redeemed and join the team or are still walking around the town and come in and out. And I think that's what's so awesome about having it take place in this one location in such an intimate setting. I love the characters. I love this town. I love this vibe. And I love the emotional moments when they happen. I mean, this is a great part. Josuke, like I also said, is a contender for one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Like,
he's really likable. He's just like overall likable.
Yeah. Extremely likable.
Yeah.
And I thought whoever came after Jotaro was going to be so hard to top, but he's his own thing. He's something completely different. But is still such an amazing character, and such a good protagonist and a fun character, and I absolutely am in love with him. And I'm in love with this part so far. Again, cozy in the first half, introducing, setting up a lot of things in the first half. I'm so excited and have no idea where it's going in the second half, but I'm more excited than I've ever been.
I want them to get the serial killer. I don't think he is like the biggest bad. I don't think he's the top, but I want to see that unfold.
What Jojo, I think, does
Some
really well,
stuff.
yeah, right, is it kind of forces you to enjoy the journey. Like so many times, like, I find myself just having been trained to consume other sort of stories, and how I'm always looking for the climax, for clash between the big bad and the hero. But this is like telling you to just enjoy the ride, enjoy everything that happens along the way. Enjoy the adventure.
Yeah.
It's a fun adventure, and it's gonna go down weird and random paths, but you're gonna get to the end, but it's gonna be so fun, and it's gonna swerve, and you're gonna do loops and go this way and go that way. But when it comes, to the end, you're gonna look back and see just how fun it's all been. And I don't know. It's just it's what I love about it. It's what feels so incredibly unique about JoJo, and
it's super special.
It's just so special and so fun, and I love it. I love it, and we'll see. Right now, like I said, part 3 and part 4 are tied for me and to me. But I mean, after we finish part 4, that could change. I don't know, but we'll see when we get there. Is there anything else you want to say about this part? Or this half of this part?
No, yeah, I think I summed it all up.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for our discussion on the first half of part 4, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure part 4. We'll be back, hopefully with some cosplay in our next episode to talk about the finale, I guess, the ending of part 4, the back half of part 4.
Which I believe is 19 episodes? 18?
I believe,
Yeah, right around the same.
But thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. If you've made it all the way to the very end, if you're still here watching or listening, you guys are amazing. Leave your comments down below, letting us know like your favorite battles, your favorite things about this part, what you really like about it, your favorite characters you do and don't like, without spoilers of what happens in the back half. I mean, that's gonna do it, but we're not quite done yet. Before we go, we do have to shout out and we do have to thank our wonderful, beautiful, amazing Patreon members and our YouTube members as well. Thank you guys for real from the bottom of our heart. Like, your support means the absolute world to us. We can't do this shit without you. We have been turning things up and are dialing our output up to like what feels like an 11 most of the time. And coming out with so many videos a week. And I mean, truly the only reason we're able to do that is because of our YouTube members and our Patreon members. Like, you guys allow us the financial freedom, give us the support, not just financially, but the emotional support, to to do everything that we do. I mean, we couldn't do these episodes. I know we didn't cosplay this episode, but you guys have helped so many times with that in the past as well.
Yeah.
Everything that we do and at the level that we strive to do it
It's
at
for you.
is for you,
It's
and it's
for you.
because of you
Yeah,
that we're
yeah.
able to do it. You guys continue to blow us away. I mean, you guys mean the absolute fucking world to us, to go on these journeys with us, to go through these series with us, relive it if you've already read it, or go through it the first time with us. I mean, like, this community,
just to support us, in that way, it means so much.
yeah, you guys
Like,
are
you
a
have no
part of
idea.
this show. This show is like ours, and you play a huge part in making it what it is, and it wouldn't be that without you. So thank you, for real, from the bottom of our hearts. If you're not a Patreon or YouTube member and you'd like to become one, all you got to do to become a Patreon member is go to patreon.com/volume1pod. All you got to do to become a YouTube member is click join somewhere next to the subscribe button on this video while you're down there. You can also check out some of the merch we have.
Yeah.
This is just one of the many shirts that we've designed that you can hopefully see underneath the video as well. So if a monthly subscription isn't something that interests you and you just want to do your sort of one-time purchase, one-time way you can show your support, then and also get something hopefully cool for yourself, then you could do that by checking out some merch, getting a shirt for yourself, a hoodie for yourself. And if you do decide to take that extra step and become a Patreon, a YouTube member, you get early access to all of our episodes,
Yes.
extended reactions, to uncut reactions, to the Chainsaw Man reactions, the Bleach reactions, like any reaction we do, even One Piece
Even
reactions.
in the future, yeah.
Yeah, even in the future, you get extended, uncut access to those, access to an exclusive bonus Patreon podcast, Volume 1 Extra, which we haven't had a lot of time to do lately, but we're going to be getting back on next week. So it's a whole separate podcast, video and audio, that is just for our Patreon and YouTube members, never goes up on YouTube. We have a backlog there too, so you can go, if you become a Patreon and YouTube member, you can go check out the backlog as well. What else does it give you? Oh, if you're a YouTube member too, you get emotes that you can use in the
Super chats.
super chats. Like, it's just really fun, and it really does just helps us. Like, I know that, I don't know, maybe you don't think that like one extra person matters, but it's crazy how much it does. I mean, it really does. Like, every single person, especially at this level that we're at, helps so much. So if you're not a Patreon or YouTube member and you'd like to become one, again, patreon.com/volume1pod to become a Patreon member, or clicking join somewhere next to the subscribe button on this video to become a YouTube member. And you get everything on our lowest tier on both places. So you don't have like tiers or paywalls that block you from certain things. We just want you to give whatever you can, if you can or want to. But if you can't, for whatever reason, you're not financially in a place to support that way, or you just don't want to, it's not your thing, you don't do that. There are plenty of other ways you can show your support that mean just as much, and that you could do for absolutely free, that Mehgan will tell you all about right now.
Yes. If you ran out of stand juice, don't worry about it, because all you have to do, it's free 99. You can comment on any one of our videos, like any one of our videos, or even subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. It really does help us out so much. Comments act pretty much as a free tip to us in our channel. So if you can't support financially, don't even worry about it. Those are things you can do for absolutely free. You can comment anything you want, a comment, a period, algorithm, gang. Those really do help us, and they spread our episodes far and wide across everywhere around the world, for other JoJo fans and other people that are fans of like-minded things as anime and manga is to everyone here, I would assume. I'm rambling.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you kind of.
It sounded
spiraled at the end, but you had it in the beginning. It was good.
But you can also follow us on social medias as well. We have a Twitter, Instagram, and we have a beautiful Discord community if you want to talk to people about anime and manga. Really cool people in there that hold it down. And yeah, so you can do those all things for free.
There you go.
And leave a review
Brought it home. Brought it home.
You can leave a review on audio platforms as well.
She brought it home.
Thank you.
Any and all ways you choose to show your support. And like Mehgan said in the very beginning of this episode, too, we're trying to get to 20K. It's ambitious, but 20K before or by 2023. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider freaking subscribing.
And get your mom's phone and subscribe.
Yes.
As well. And your siblings and your other family members. Like,
And
if they just have YouTube.
Random people on the street.
Yeah. If they just have YouTube, just like, oh, can I see it really quick? I'm trying to look something up, and then just subscribe and then give it back to them. They won't even know.
They won't even know. But any and all ways that you choose to show your support mean the absolute world to us. For real, guys. We fucking love you guys. All of you guys. You guys are amazing. We have an amazing community. But that's it. That's it for another Volume 1's Bizarre Adventure episode. We'll see you in the next one. But I guess the last thing we got to do is get out of here. Then on our outro, that's always the same and never changes, which today, Mehgan, is what? The Jojo episodes lend themselves to like infinite amount of possibilities. It's hard. It's hard because there's so many. Like
honey, I cheated.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, all right.
Like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No, yeah, like honey,
I cheated on you.
Well, that's pretty harsh.
Honey, I cheated on you, and I have a love child.
Honey, I have a love child.
Honey, I have a love child.
All right.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little collaborative. We did a little collab on that outro. Usually it's Mehgan doing all the heavy lifting. Glad I could help.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. That's going to do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. And until next time, honey, I have a love child. I have both. Yeah. I know you're devastated. But at least he's